The following video is broadcasting live, and thank you for being my studio audience. Thank you for hitting thumbs up and subscribing to my channel for more black news, celebrity entertainment, and a splash of controversy. What up and welcome back, Stickies. I'm Jane, the plainest Jane, and over here on this channel, I deliver you syrup in the form of black news and celebrity updates. So get on my bus, pay your fare, like the video. That is how you pay to be here. You don't have to monetarily support the channel, although if you do, it is appreciated. But it is not a requirement. I appreciate your company, your presence, and you just engaging with the video in any way possible. So let's go ahead and get started. I missed all of you all. There is so much that we need to get into. I'm pretty sure all of y'all realize by now that we are getting new Diddy news like every 3 to 5 business minutes. Okay. Shout out to my editor for even cracking that joke in the Discord. It's actually my editor and my research team now that I think about it, but I'm glad to have you here. And there is so much that we need to get into. And I don't want this to be a 2 or 3 hour video. I want to continue to be able to give you Diddy updates and other things outside of Diddy without taking up a substantial part of your day. Even though if I was to sit down and really break down all of this Diddy stuff down to each and every last molecule, we would definitely be here all day. Somebody said watch and debate. Well, you ain't watching the debate if you here, baby. If you want to watch the debate, watch the debate. You want to watch this, it's going to be on replay just like this will. So I'm not, you know what I mean? If you want to watch the debate, baby. What you expect me to say? Don't watch the debates, watch me. I'm more important. Like, baby, do what's in your best interest. Okay. Do what interests you. I am excited. Please let me know where you are watching from and also what you had for dinner. Okay. So I'm obviously here in Baltimore, Maryland. And for dinner, I'm having a mix between Sarku Japan and Sarku Japan and a half of a pit ham sandwich that I really enjoy. So I'm not sure which one of those I'm going to do when I finish this. But you know, I can't. Ooh, taco salad sounds good. Shout out to Ohio. So yeah, I'll be doing one of those 2 things when I get off here. I can't eat too much before I go live because 2 or 3 bites of food will literally give me the itis, and this video would never even take place. All right. Nola, smothered chicken, LA, Atlanta, Chipotle, lasagna soup. You know what? That sounds good. And I do not try new I don't try new foods much at all. I do not try new foods. Oh, what is that? That's funny. That's funny. And so let's go ahead and get this live started. We have got to go through the press conference today. So we're going to watch this press conference together. I'm going to try my best not to do too much stopping and pausing throughout this press conference just so that this video isn't too lengthy. But there are also some other updates outside of this press conference that I have to give you. Let me just go ahead and give you a trigger warning right now. Because this is some very heavy stuff. As you know, when I cover these things, you know, no different than the R. Kelly situation, no different than the R. Kelly situation. Not that you have to understand, it is my responsibility as a presenter of information that, let me go ahead and place you in timeout. There you go. Sit your ass down. I have to give you a trigger warning. That's my responsibility. And so there is a trigger warning. All right. Heavy trigger warning. If you are highly, bothered or have something going on where you aren't able to consume, or if you're triggered by topics such as SA and people not giving their consent and being taken advantage of in an illicit way, and especially because we're talking about minors in this video. If you remember my last video title, let me see if I still have my thumbnail here for you all. And thank y'all for liking the video when y'all come in. Okay, this was the last thumbnail for the video, and I told y'all this is coming down the pipeline. I literally put on the thumbnail and in the title, he has targeted children, and it was overt to me, but there were some people who still wanted to write this off as some innocent thing. So as a matter of fact, this wasn't even a part of my plan to play this clip, but I'm going to play it right now. I'm gonna play it right now, and I just got weird and icky vibes from this. This clip made me uncomfortable. I did play it in the last video, but let me recap you really quick.
Tell the story.
So, I was on the streets, and then Papa Combs decided that he would like.
Papa Combs. Why is this little girl coming on here telling us her name, her sign, and her age? Like, what do you think about when people say, and when I say people, I mean adults. What do you think about when you hear adults saying, my name is Jane, I'm in my early 30s, and I'm an Aquarius? Like, what does that sound like to you? I'm gonna take a pause to cool down and to let y'all answer that question. If you hear grown adults saying, my name is such and such, I'm Jane, I'm in my early 30s, and I'm an Aquarius, what does that sound like? And I have found it sounds like dating for adults. There's no reason a child, all Diddy told her to do was look in the camera and tell him your name. She automatically went into her name, her age, and her sign. Are you kidding me? Who you attracting with that line was your name, was your sign. Shout out to Biggie, but no, for real, who are you attracting with that line? And who told you to say that? Papa Combs? I follow this girl on TikTok as well. She is going through a lot. She was going through a lot. She's posted a lot. A lot of people are harassing her. She looks exactly the same. Very beautiful young lady, because obviously she's like not 9 or 11 anymore here. And whether she's a preteen, single age, she's not old enough to be talking like this with a grown man. And he talking about he adopted her. Come to find out, he never legally adopted any white girl. Right. So he was just saying that and taking her in. But the thing that I found through my research of following this girl, and really being empathetic in following her outcries on her TikTok in particular, she has become family with some of Diddy's children, um, prominently the twin girls. She really still considers them to be family. There are plenty of videos on her page of her with the girls. Now, I'm not going to bring up her social media because it seems like she's going through a lot and people are giving her flack. From this video, people were able to find her. But let me just give you a quick rundown of the stuff that we're going to be hearing about in this press conference here. Okay. So we're going to be hearing about 120. Okay, over 100 new victims, 120 to be exact, as of right now. 60 of them were men, 60 of them were women. And while that is all very tragic, if it's true, 25 of this 120 were minors. Now, I just want to go ahead and lead this video by saying, obviously, all things stated here are alleged and according to reports. I obviously wasn't there. I ain't never been to LA. I ain't never met Diddy. I ain't never been to no mansion between, Miami, Florida, and wherever he hangs out, London. But this is really shocking. We heard things also in this press conference about a 9 and a 15-year-old that came forward that he was abusing, with the promise of having something to do with the entertainment industry, whether it been the 9-year-old boy who was trying to get a record deal, but Diddy pulled him to the side away from his parents and said, hey, if you want this record deal, you're going to have to do a little, excuse my words, I gave y'all trigger warning, you're going to have to do a little sucky. And other just abusive things. In addition to the foreign objects that he would be sodomizing them with. Okay. And then also there's a woman who we will find out per this press conference that he actually drugged a pregnant woman in order to get what he wanted and to get her to not consent to a freak off, but so that he could have a freak off with her after he knocked her out and drugged her. And she was pregnant. Okay. So, baby, when I tell you we are getting into some very triggering things in this video, okay? We are getting into some very cringy. Oh, shoot, I didn't even finish the video with the little white girl. Let me be quiet and let this play, and then we're going to move forward with getting into everything else.
To be a caring man man. So then he saw me and decided to pick me up and said to come inside and play with his kids.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. Wait a minute. He saw you and told you to come inside and play with his kids. Let's listen to that one more time.
And play with his kids.
Hold on.
Decided to pick me up and said to come inside and play with his kids.
Yeah.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
Y'all don't find that suspicious? I'm sorry. I am uncomfortable with any child that has been told, say hi to the camera. And the first thing the child is inclined to say is, hi, my name is Ava. I'm 9. I'm a Sagittarius. Like, that is cringy as hell. But that's that. And I showed that in the last video. So I don't want to take too much time talking about that. If you have been keeping up with the coverage, you have. And even if you've been keeping up with the coverage outside of me, that is perfectly fine. Just like I said, when the person came in the chat earlier talking about watching the debates, baby, go ahead, watch the debates. I'm not the only brand of commentary out here, but I'm giving you what I have in my unique thought process and my unique presentation skills with walking through and breaking down all of this stuff. I don't have the skill set that other bloggers have, but also other bloggers don't have the skill set that I have either. So watch who you want to watch. You don't just have to watch me. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and get into what we need to discuss pertaining to Diddy before we get into this interview. Okay. Has everyone hit like on the video? All right. Also, has everyone shared this video out? It's really important. Y'all know I was gone for a while. So it really helps me out and it helps the YouTube algorithm out when you are able to engage with the video, like the video, share it with somebody. If you follow me on Twitter, hopefully you got the notification there because I know YouTube be kind of funny with that. So I shared it on Instagram. I put it in my Discord. If you want to share it in your group chat, on your social media, on your Twitter, on your Facebook group chats, however it is that you share videos, share this thing with somebody. We're going to get really informational. I'm always going to sneak some comedy into serious subjects because we just need a balance. That's just my format. I did that with R. Kelly. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to play the intro. Y'all like the video. Y'all put some pancakes in the video while the intro plays. And we're going to get right into reading off all of this Diddy information in a bit of a rapid fire way. But if I'm talking too fast, please let me know that I need to slow down because I'm really anxious to get through all this and not make this video long. So if I'm talking too fast, I'm sorry. Let me know if I need to slow down. Put some red siren emojis or something in the chat. But for now, put pancakes in the chat, like the video. Let's
thePLAINESTjane. This is one of my favorite comments here. She says, I loves me some black, and she said loves me some black news. She says, is it just me, or does anyone else get tired of seeing people that don't look like them delivering info about them day in and day out?
First of all, I just want to say shout out to not only my moderators, but shout out to my channel members for being in the chat. Shout out to Shada Gem Dropper, AMK, Just T, Tanya D, and A Miller, Miss Platinum. Shout out to all of y'all. I wish I could call all y'all names, but this video would have a trash replay value if I did. But shout out to all of you all. I do see one comment that I do kind of want to get into. It's a very good comment. Where did it go? I think it's this one. Jane, can we talk about why some parents will give the conservatorship of their children to celebrities? Why is this common? I think it's honestly common because I don't think that there is an age limit on being starstruck. And I will also add, I think that is fucked up. I think that is fucked up that you place being starstruck over a celebrity over caring and protecting for your child because you want them to be in the business, the entertainment business, albeit music, movie, television, whatever. I think that there is no age limit on that. And therefore, some parents get caught up thinking that, because listen, what happens when there's a child star? Who else is benefiting from a child star? Case in point, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan did all of that acting, grew up and wanted to cash out on her money. Her parents had took it all. You know, so parents be looking for a lick too. I'm not going to say nothing about, look. Oh, let me try and keep it cute. Um, Listen, Asriel Clary did nothing wrong. She was a child. And she was lured and pushed into a situation by her parents because they were looking for a payday. Angelo Clary was looking to pop off his dildo business. He wanted his daughter to get close to R. Kelly, his daughter who was a minor, so that he could approach R. Kelly and say, hey, I'm coming out with this sex toy line. And I wanted to vibrate to the sounds and the bass and the beat of all of your best hits because you make a lot of baby making hits. So sometimes the parents be having ulterior motives too. And that's unfortunate that they place that over top of protecting their kids. And that's all I'll say. And I'll move on from that because, baby, I'm not trying to stir up nothing. But we all from Baltimore. So, you know, if Angelo or Alice want to talk, we can talk. But that's the truth. We read the text messages. I went over the text messages. If you want to go back over the text messages, either go look at the old video or I'll bring up the old video. But sometimes parents be having ill intent that is in the worst interest of their children. And that is my personal opinion. And I even provided an example as to why sometimes parents do that. So that's that. And so as we continue to, Gary Coleman is another one too. Yes, I just watched that. I did watch that interview. The documentary. I can't remember if that was Hulu or Netflix, but I did find it to be very like eye-opening. Woo! Yes, them child star parents. Sometimes they be pimping out their kids, and sometimes they don't really mean it in a sexual way, like in the Gary Coleman or whatever. But it's still, excuse me, it's still predatory. It's still predatory, and it's still not right to serve your kids up to monsters, whether they're sexual monsters, psychological monsters. In the case of Gary Coleman, when he was sick, he needed, I can't remember if it was a liver or a kidney replacement. And he was getting sick and becoming ill and throwing up on set. And his parents were like, you need to keep working. We ain't got time for you to be sick. We need this money. And then when it came time for him to cash out on his money, all the money was gone. Turned this man completely bitter, and he turned into a whole nother person. So it happens like that sometimes. So that is a conversation. Maybe we can have that later or another day. Maybe I'll open the phone lines a little later. I don't know. But that's a good point, and I'm really glad. That's why I really enjoy my stickies, because y'all ask edifying questions that really help keep the conversation going. And one thing about me is I'm always encouraging y'all, regardless of what the hell I'm saying. I encourage y'all and I implore y'all to think critically and independently, regardless of what you hear from me or anybody else, and continue to do that. I am not the end all be all when it comes to thought, theory, predictions, what I'm sensing intuitively. But let's move on. Before we get into the press conference, which I am going to play, I want to get into a couple of notes that I've taken on some of the things that have transpired over the last 3 days with Diddy. So we all know about the $1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube on the wall, right? We all know about the 1,000 bottles. It's crazy. It's bizarre. Diddy's lawyers seem to be very incompetent. I'm not sure how much he costs. I'm not sure if Diddy is going to finish paying him, but he basically went on and did an interview. He did a couple interviews saying this, to the point where Costco had to come out and say something. I've never even seen Costco make a statement. So this is a big deal. So we have to talk about the baby oil. His attorney goes on and does a couple of interviews, one outside the courthouse, another one that was a sit-down interview. And he basically said, when they were asking about the 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, he was like, oh, well, maybe he buys in bulk. There's a Costco in the proximity close to each of his mansions between LA and Miami. And Costco comes out and says, "Oh, baby, we've never sold baby oil. Stop the cap. Keep us out this. How I get in this? Absolutely not." Lawyer got him looking crazy because why would you even make a statement like that without even researching what they sell? Even if your client didn't buy all of those 1,000 bottles of baby oil, why would you not even do your research to see if you could even lie in a way in which it would add up with what you're trying to say? At the very least, you want to provide a hypothetical that somebody can research and say, well, this could have happened, but it could not have happened too. And Costco was coming out and saying this absolutely 100% could have never happened because we ain't never sold baby oil. Child, Costco said you
shouldn't have been talking shit.
Costco had to come out and make his lawyer look crazy because, like, what? That's completely bizarre to me. And I believe that the government and the judge is going to see that and be like, which is the reason why. Damn, I completely just had a brain fart just now. Brain fart. Next point, though. So Costco comes out and they make their statement. Please don't doubt that and think that the judges aren't paying attention to the way that this attorney is fumbling this stuff. He did 2 interviews about this. This lawyer is looking like a liar, a fraud. This lawyer is looking as bad as Tyrone Blackburn. If you don't know who Tyrone Blackburn is, let's talk later about it. Okay. But I've talked about him and the Tiny and T.I. case and Sabrina Peterson. It's a whole thing, right? Did a whole saga on that as well. All right. And there are some people who speculate that the baby oil wasn't just baby oil, that there was stuff in it. And you know what? I am really inclined and moved to believe that the baby oil wasn't pure baby oil. I wouldn't be surprised if we get to trial and the prosecution says, hey, listen, we tested the baby oil. It's stuff in it. Because there's no reason to have that much. And a lot of the drugs that were listed in the initial indictment, it led to, it named all of these different drugs that a lot of us ain't even heard of before. Some of us out here just smoke and drink. Other people doing GMB and GHC and horse tranquilizer, cat tranquilizer, methamphetamine, baby, keep that shit. And a lot of that stuff, and especially the cat and the tranquilizer, whatever, it is easily and quickly absorbed through the skin. So if he was oiling people down with baby oil or forcing them to oil themselves down with baby oil, and all this is going on, just like imagine how loopy they were getting. That's another way. Some people might show up and be like, I don't want nothing to drink. You're like, that's okay. You're not thirsty. Cool. Put on this baby oil. Another way to inebriate somebody without their consent. One thing about it that we were hearing also about Diddy is that he wasn't having any family visits. He wasn't allowed any family visits. When he first went in there, he was in solitary confinement, which is the SHU. He's not allowed to be in Gen Pop. He's too much of a risk to be in general population because a lot of people have a motive and a badge of honor to earn if they do something to hurt him or unalive him. And so they put him on suicide watch, right? And he wasn't allowed family visits, but now he's allowed family visits. He's off of suicide watch. And it's not that he was really thinking about offing himself. It's just that is procedure for such a high profile case. That's just procedure. They did the same thing with Robert Epstein, Weinstein. That's just what they do. Right. So a lot of people, oh my God, no, he doesn't want to take himself out because he really still thinks that he's going to get off. This is the same type of reckless, invincible ambition that R. Kelly had as well. Food consumption. Sean was starving himself for whatever reason, right? When he first got there, or maybe he just didn't have an appetite. Who knows? It rocked his world to be sitting in that dirty, deplorable prison because that prison has some really terrible conditions. And I really can say that because I heard the judge talking about it during the R. Kelly trial, a couple of other trials, and also this one. This is really a really bad jail. Everything is moldy. They're not taking care of anything. So he didn't want to eat when he first got there. Word on the curb was he didn't want to eat because he thought that somebody was going to lace his food with something poisonous. So for the first 2-3 days, he wasn't eating. Now he's eating. Good for you. I wonder why you think that somebody would poison your food. Have you poisoned someone? Okay, just asking. Moving on. Now we're getting into the point where he has a new dream team, right? So he's got new attorneys. He's got these new attorneys because he sees that the current singular one that he had, it was not cutting it. And especially when Costco has to come out and make a statement to chop your attorney down, a top dollar attorney that you're paying down. I'm pretty sure Diddy is not paying that initial attorney any less than $5 million. And he's out here making a debacle about this baby oil and making it easy for people to get you caught up in lies because he's out here saying the wrong thing when he really could just say no comment and keep walking like most attorneys will do if they don't know what to say. And so he's hired 2 additional attorneys, Black man who honestly is one of the top attorneys in the country. And I had to make sure I checked that, right? Because I seen it come from the first publication and I'm like, are they just pumping him up? They trying to make it sound like he got a good chance. But no, I actually did research and I actually do have a legal team that I consult with. And I ran his name past them and they were like, no, he really has a good reputation. Like he's literally one of the top in the country. So I'm like, okay, he's great. Apparently the other attorney who was a white woman, she has a really good reputation and a really good win rate as well. So now he's got a team of 3 attorneys and he's also going to be appealing his bail again for the 3rd time. Okay. So Diddy is trying a lot of stuff. And I mean, this is to be expected, right? He was willing to give them $50 million just to be free while the trial was taking place. So this is pretty crazy. So he's appealing the bail again. Do we think he's gonna get out with the bail? I don't think so. Hey, Rabbit. Also, we've got another victim, and I have this court document that I was able to find online. It is 26 pages. It's pretty extensive. I didn't have enough energy the day that it dropped or the day after. I mustered up all the energy I could pull together today just to do this because I'm like, okay, it's time. I got enough Diddy info. So apparently, unfortunately, there was another press conference the other day, and the woman was claiming some very disturbing, grotesque, sexually deviant stuff from Diddy. It was so disturbing. And one of the many things, because there were at least like 15 things that stuck out to me, was some of the videos that she didn't even know were being filmed when she was being assaulted. She woke up and her hands were bound behind her back with a grocery bag and she's being slammed around and she's sore in the front and the back. It was just terrible and heartbreaking to hear all of the stuff and to read all of the stuff in that court paperwork. And if y'all still want me to read it, I'll read it. I kind of feel like it's old news right now. So just let me know how y'all are feeling about that. Put a 2 in the chat if y'all still want me to read that in a different video or backstage or something. But yeah, so apparently some of the freak off tapes are being sold on the dark web is the point that I'm trying to make based on bringing up this press conference from the other day. And I watched it. I watched the thing in full and it's hard to watch. It was very hard to watch. Already covered the jail conditions. They are horrible there, but I don't feel bad for Diddy. You've lived a luxurious life as you have been on a 3-decade crusade to terrorize a lot of other people. Yeah, even people in the UK. All right. So you terrorizing people in the UK and the United States federal government deciding that they want to make trips over to the UK to get additional information and evidence and witnesses to make sure that they continue to investigate you. Oh, baby, they're not giving up on you. You spending all this money to get out. But I guess like what? I don't know. I don't have an opinion. I'm not a crook. I'm not a criminal. I'm not a rapist. So I don't even know how to. All I know is his first attorney was trash. That's all I can say. I can't really give him any legal advice, nor do I want to. So that's that. Okay. Rabbit, I know you be having a lot going on, but if you're still in the chat and you want to hit the link to give some insight, because I know you did a couple of videos today, let me know, because I know that you yeah, let me know if you want to come up and just shed some insight on anything that I may be oversimplifying, because I am trying to like get through some of this information quickly because I don't want to leave people here for hours. So just let me know if you want the link, Rabbit. Okay. Okay. So now let's go ahead and somebody said how was Leo. I'm gonna have to get into that later. I don't want to interrupt this video with this, but I do have an update to give you all on that. Okay. So what is that in the background? Oh, I thought that was my logo. It's the shelf. So let's go ahead and get into the let's go ahead and get into this press conference from earlier today. All right. And I watched this press conference, and you know, sometimes you think you can't be any further shocked or any further disgusted when you hear growth, like especially when sometimes you just think you can't be any further floored. But when I tell you I was further floored, okay, by what I heard in this press conference, without further ado, we got 259 people here. How many likes do we have on the video? Okay, you guys, what are we doing? Can we get a little? Can we hit like on the video? Y'all need me to get Tyra Banks to cuss y'all out real quick? Like, what's going on that all y'all not hitting the like button, but y'all here sipping up the syrup? Like, y'all want me to kick y'all off my bus? Do y'all want me to kick y'all off my bus? Because I will throw you off.
But you're not. Stop it! I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this. When my mother yells at this, it's because she loves me. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? Learn something from this. You go to bed at night, you lay there, and you take responsibility for yourself.
All right. Y'all hit that like button before I get upset and cuss y'all out like Tyra. Okay? So I see somebody in the chat said, this is going down like Kels. Absolutely. I've been saying that from video one. And especially when you bring the minors into it, it makes it even more. It makes it resemble the R. Kelly thing even more. RICO, sex trafficking, abuse of minors, abuse of adults, taking people across state lines, coercing people, abusing your money and your power. I mean, like, at this point, y'all are literally buddy twins. I'm telling you, when Diddy shows up to that prison where Robert is literally going to point at him and say, twin, where have you been? Nobody know you. I mean, y'all are twins. Y'all abused it. And the thing is, I feel like Diddy had been doing it for a couple more years more than Robert. But they one and the same. They are one and the same. Let's get into the press conference without further ado, okay?
These brave victims who have stepped forward deserve nothing less. The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world. The wall of silence has now been broken, and victims are coming forward. Our team has had at this point more than 3,285 individuals contact us, with people claiming to have been victimized by Sean Combs. After vetting, we now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file these individual cases.
Okay, now who's my question? I have a question and also something I want to make very blatantly clear. Very blatantly clear. And I'm also curious to know how you all think that this is going to play out. So, damn, that's 3 thoughts. But this is not a civil or a class action suit. So I've heard some people, and it might be a misspeak, right? Because civil action, class action, you can easily I was rewatching the last Diddy video I did, and I realized I'm talking about Diddy, and I was accidentally saying R. Kelly. So it can be very easy to misspeak, but don't make no mistake. This is not a class action lawsuit. They are going to be trying each of these cases separately. And they have laid out over 120 different victims that they have right now. And they claim that they got the majority of these victims over the last 10 days. That's number one. I really want to know how you think this is going to play out pertaining to the payouts, because this is something that actually has never been before seen. If they actually do file, let's just say they don't file all 120, because they've got a detective on their team. Even if they only file 80, 70 lawsuits, how many people do you think are going to get restitution? Like, how do you think this is what I really want to call Rabbit up here? Maybe I should actually stop trying to be so haphazard by seeing her in the chat and actually try to organize a time for us to go on a panel together to just kind of just freeball off of each other and just, ask questions and just theorize, like, how is this going to play out? How many people are going to get money? Or so Cassie already got hers. There might be another settlement, but how many settlements do we think are going to be really granted? And then how many people are really going to get money? Like, will he run out of money by lawsuit 30? Like, I just wonder what this looks like. And is this a hit from the civil side of things, kicking it over to the prosecution and the criminal side of things, like literally shooting them a golf ball, free ball, like, look, this is look at all this. I've got 120 suspects. You want to put them on the stand? You want to help? R. Kelly didn't even have 120 victims. And so that's why I'm kind of like, I 15 minutes. Okay. I wonder what it would look like with all these lawsuits. I feel like, not to say that it would tank the jury, but the jury would be like, baby, it's so many lawsuits. We done seen so much evidence. Like, this could be a tactic for the civil side to really be kicking stuff over to the prosecution side and over to the criminal side to help the criminal side get a slam dunk, but then to also help the civil side get their money. But it's a matter of how much money. I can tell you, Diddy still got money left. Obviously, he offering up 50 million. But does he have money for 120 lawsuits? And we all know for a fact it's still more to come. Come Christmas, do you think we still gonna be stuck at 120? Stop it. Stop it. Okay, I see you, Rabbit. Let me know. Let me play this.
And you should know, to the extent the clients feel comfortable, we also intend to make these individuals available to the authorities, specifically to the FBI. And you should also know a few of them have already been spoken to by the FBI.
Oh, the other question I wanted to ask y'all is, who else do you think is going to go down with him? For me, my first and absolute guess is Stevie J. Stevie J guilty as hell, and I don't care what nobody say. And I'm not even saying allegedly. Will Stevie J sue me? Stevie is guilty as hell, and not just by association. His character and like, Stevie be into that shit. Like, this is a man that's been on camera on Love and Hip Hop for years, going, yeah, and got Jocelyn all coked up, and he into that shit. Like, he got Jocelyn all coked up, Faith Evans all coked up. He be hitting.
Now, before we discuss the nature of the claims and claimants themselves, let me comment on the large volume of calls we have received since our first announcement. Even before the indictment of Sean Combs, we had received a small volume of calls and had screened a handful of cases. After the indictment of Sean Combs and the announcement that we were pursuing these claims, the floodgates opened. People who wouldn't otherwise, for a variety of reasons, are now stepping forward to make their voices heard and to pursue justice. But no, most of these people are scared. They fear backlash in their communities. They fear backlash in their own families. They are afraid of retaliation from the perpetrators and their associates. They are rightly afraid for their own personal safety.
Absolutely. And understandably so, because people online are unhinged. Baby, the hate that I got, and please pay attention to this comment on the screen, because this is actually coming from somebody who has extensive knowledge of the legal systems and how these laws work and how things go. So pay attention to this comment on the screen, read it, screenshot it. There's a lot of legal questions, potential answers, legal advice coming from legal experts that'll be coming through in this video. And all we can do is speculate, but ultimately we know baby Diddy gonna be put away forever. Absolutely. Put away forever.
At the length fans will go, no matter the evidence to the contrary, to defend celebrities they love.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. I loved this press conference. I can't even hold you. I really enjoyed this press conference because he spoke more firm and he spoke more stern than Gloria did the other day with the other woman. While I respect all of the conferences, because the bottom line is getting the word out about the justice. But what I can say is when people listen to your delivery and how you deliver it, it makes a difference. There's something about the way Gloria speaks. And I still feel like Gloria will be successful with that victim in that lawsuit. I do. What's her name? Gloria Alfred. I watched that the other day live in real time. We were in the Discord talking about it. And I do still feel like she will get some sort of victory. They didn't name the dollar amount that they were asking for, but it was a civil thing, not a criminal thing. But there was something a little elderly about her voice. She's not as quick on her toes. She's not as witty with her words as this man right here. So when you say fans are gonna wish the victims harm online, and that's the reason why they're fans. They're fanatics. Like, he had very acute and very direct and very specific ways in which he spoke. And he also used a lot of alliteration. And not alliteration like he's illiterate, but alliteration like if I'm saying slippery Sean, like I was doing in the other videos, and I was saying deviant Diddy and stuff, when you're starting words off with the same letters, those are, and that resonates with people. Some people may call it childish, call it what you want, but if you aren't used to being an orator, or if you've never taken a speech class or a note-taking class, and you don't really understand what's really clicking in people's minds when you speak. So I believe that he spoke a lot more stern, a lot more firm. And I think that he's going to resonate with people a lot more than the Gloria lady did. Although I hope that all of the victims get justice based on whatever happened to them, albeit all allegations are based in truth. That's my thing. But I really appreciated how stern and how forward and how blunt he was with the way in which he spoke. It was strong, and it sent a message.
I mean, there's a reason for this word fans. They're fanatics. I've personally already been threatened multiple times on social media. And when I agreed to pursue this, I expected as much. This isn't my first rodeo. But victims who step forward to have their voices heard should not be subjected to that kind of conduct. They should not be targeted. I want to say this, and I want to be clear about it. Although we are vetting each call as stringently as we can, I always start with a mindset that I believe victims. I believe victims because I understand the tremendous courage it takes to step forward. So if you're watching this, please hear me. If you're out there and you have been victimized, you are not alone. There is a great strength in numbers. You can seek redress. You can obtain justice. We can help you, and we will help you. That being said, as stated, we are vetting every call that we receive. We've had to turn away some. For each, we ask for corroboration. For each, we ask for the identity of witnesses. We also have collected pictures, videos, texts. We check venues. We check dates. We want to corroborate that the claims being made have legitimacy and merit. We have on staff now a former detective from the Major Offenders Unit of Houston Police Department who is helping us vet each claim. We're using our common sense. We're being stringent because, as I said, these are not easy cases. They're very tough. The process is hard, and in some cases, the process is very lengthy. These cases are hard to prove. Many times it's the victim's word against the alleged perpetrator. Each of these victims will no doubt be publicly attacked by the alleged perpetrators, and in some cases, the general public. The feckless and cowardly keyboard warriors love to attack. We know their backlash in their communities.
Wait.
We are vetting each call.
Not the cowards and the keyboard warriors. That's like his terminology. It speaks to everybody following this case. Gloria had a bit of an outdated way of speaking, although she was still speaking to what it was, right? But this guy has a bit of a more trendy vocabulary. The coward keyboard warriors. Everybody between 20 and 40 is using the term keyboard warriors. And then to call them cowards, oh, the icing on the cake. When you're taking advantage of people and stealing consent, especially because it's obviously about the abuse of power. Because that's always like my thing. I'm like, people like R. Kelly and Diddy, like you can have nearly any woman you want. You got the money, people want those benefits, but it's not about getting whatever woman you want. It's about getting the woman that doesn't want you and abusing your power in order to humiliate and take something from her or whatever the case is, or not even just her, him. Okay. So calling them cowards and keyboard warriors, that is the type of language that we need in order to convict the general public to go ahead and now do that, baby. I got one death threat. I won't say I got death threats plural. I got one death threat when I was covering the R. Kelly trial. But outside of the death threat, I got a lot of hate and vitriol and public ridicule and people, you stealing information. How am I stealing info? The stuff is coming straight from the courthouse. This is an indictment. I'm listening to some of the tapes that they make public. I'm reading the transcripts. Am I stealing? They will say anything to discourage you from covering and exploring and exposing the truth behind all of the mess and the nonsense that they got going on that they doing. We'll listen to a couple more minutes, but let me send this link to Rabbit because Rabbit has literally been live about this all day. Okay. So I'm interested to just share and exchange a couple thoughts with her about it.
As stringently as we can. I always start with a mindset that I believe victims. I believe victims because I understand the tremendous courage it takes to step forward. So if you're watching this, please hear me. If you're out there and you have been victimized, you are not alone. There is a great strength in numbers. You can seek redress. You can obtain justice. We can help you, and we will help you. That being said, as stated, we are vetting every call that we receive. We've had to turn away some. For each, we ask for corroboration. For each, we ask for the identity of witnesses. We also have collected pictures, videos, texts. We check venues, we check dates. We want to corroborate that the claims being made have legitimacy and merit. We have on staff now a former detective from the Major Offenders Unit of Houston Police Department who is helping us vet each claim. We're using our common sense. We're being stringent because, as I said, these are not easy cases. They're very tough. The process is hard, and in some cases, the process is very lengthy. These cases are hard to prove. Many times it's the victim's word against the alleged perpetrator. Each of these victims will no doubt be publicly attacked by the alleged perpetrators, and in some cases, the general public. The feckless and cowardly keyboard warriors love to attack. We know what we're up against. We did not enter this fray blindly. I wish it was my last such fray. I wish this type of behavior wasn't so pervasive. But it is what it is, so we will press on. As I said, our law firms have been retained by 120 individuals at this point to pursue cases in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs. You should know, in this group, it is evenly divided between males and females. There are 60 males and 60 females who have joined us to pursue these claims as plaintiffs. In this group, 62% identify as African American, 30% are white, and the remainder are Hispanic or Asian. The victims are from more than 25 states. The majority are from California, New York, Georgia, and Florida. I don't want to focus on the ages of these victims.
Listen closely.
When you talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred, it's shocking. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15. 25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of. The time frame of the acts complained of is very wide. The conduct at issue spans from the years 1991 all the way till this year, 2024. If you wonder why there are so many alleged victims, that's your answer. We're talking about more than 25 years of this type of conduct. Now, although most of the victims who have stepped forward were victimized after 2015, this has been going on for a very long time. Now, when you think about the fact that some of this conduct occurred 25 years ago, and you wonder why would it take somebody so long to step forward, I want to remind you that many states in the United States have recognized that it's very difficult for a victim to step forward.
Yes, it's very difficult for a victim to step forward. Lots of states have lots of different laws. And I think that it's so crazy that it's 2024 and we still, a great amount of people, not we, but a great amount of people are like, why it take you so long to come out? Why? The ridicule that victims get when they come out and when you feel like coming out and being comfortable. There was some things I didn't tell my mother about until I moved out. And like I said, I've never been, oh, did I say that here? I clicked somebody's link before I came into my own video. I've never been that saved, but there was still some things that I was not comfortable with telling my parents while I lived with them. And those are just my parents, not the whole world, and then to be ridiculed at the height and the climate of where we are in social media now. Baby, social media be driving people to want to whatever. Y'all, without further ado, we got our special guest. We have a special guest who is actually a true crime. I'm going to call her a true crime specialist because for me and how I classify her and categorize her, she is a true crime specialist. And when I tell you she be on the and her name is Rabbit for a reason because I don't even know when she sleeps. I'm convinced she doesn't sleep. Like she's always up. She's always on it. And she's got some thoughts and some critical thinking. She's not just reading an article or watching a video. She actually puts critical thought behind what it is that she is uncovering and discovering when she is covering subjects, whether it be pop culture, whether it be true crime, whether it be a Netflix or a Hulu documentary, hell, even a Tubi documentary. And I'm naming this stuff off, not randomly, because I'm actually a fan of hers. Call me a fanatic if you want to, but I'm actually a fan of her. So anyway, we're gonna bring our special guest up. Y'all drop some. I would ask you to drop some pancakes in the chat, but I'm actually gonna ask you to find the rabbit. There are 2 different rabbit emojis. Find some rabbit emojis for me, please. We want to be nice and kind to our guests. So find some rabbit emojis. Let's welcome her up here. And we're going to talk about just what we think, what she thinks about it, what she may be predicting, what questions she has. And then we'll just bounce off of each other for a minute. Okay. Put some rabbits in the chat. Thank you so much. The following video is broadcasting live, and thank you for being my studio audience. Thank you for hitting thumbs up and subscribing to my channel for more Black news, celebrity entertainment, and a splash of controversy. All right, so we have Rabbit up here. Rabbit, what is going on?
Hi, listen, you need to stop because you need to tell the people the truth. You need to tell the people that, first of all, you taught me the ways, okay? Don't ever forget the reason why I'm a YouTuber today, and let the record show, okay, that, you know, you really inspired me. So stop it. Stop it.
I can still give you my props while not mentioning other
No, but
stuff.
still, I will always give you like this. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget. And I don't want the people to ever forget that the reason why I'm here is because Jane really inspired me, motivated me, and taught me. Matter of fact, I'm so glad that you're even bringing R. Kelly up, because I remember just the deep dives that you did with R. Kelly and just thinking, I cannot wait to get there. The way you did that, and I mean, it's crazy because I know you know the R. Kelly case in and out, inside and out, and to me, it's like now we're talking about Diddy. It's just crazy, just I don't know where we're at right now, if that makes sense.
It definitely feels like deja vu. I can't even lie. Like, it absolutely feels like deja vu. And so when I started my notes to do this Diddy stuff like a month ago, like I did some mild Diddy stuff earlier this year, but when I first came back to make a big splash when he first got arrested, I was like, okay, let me get serious. And I was just like, not that I had forgotten my format, but I have a bit of a written or typed out format. I go back to, I save each and every one of my calls, my sheets where I take my notes. And I went back to my R. Kelly sheet just to say, okay, I listed the charges. I spoke about what happened outside the courtroom, and it read the same. So I'll copy and paste the R. Kelly thing so I can still have the R. Kelly notes, and I'll copy and paste it and delete the R. Kelly stuff to put the Diddy stuff there. And it reads identical. I'm telling you, it reads. It's like there wasn't much that I needed to delete in my intro. The charges are so similar. The behavior is so similar. Targeting minors is so similar. Promising, you know, other people a career, whether it be singing or entertainment, is so similar. It is so eerie how identical these cases look. The difference is I never thought that I would be hit with a news cycle that would be more intense than R. Kelly, because that R. Kelly thing was intense.
Yeah.
It was extremely intense. There was some times where I would get off work at 5 o'clock and I'd be sitting at work until 12:30, and the janitor would come around like, you still here? Ma'am, you got to get out. And I'd be like, okay, all right, I'm getting out. I'm going.
Yeah.
And then I would be live at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So
I remember those late night lives. And that's why when I saw, I was like, nobody, I don't care what anybody says, and I'm very biased because I love Jane, but nobody did it like Jane when it came to the R. Kelly coverage. I don't care what anybody says. You guys can direct a tour. I don't care. Nobody did the coverage like Jane did it. And I think that that's something that, first of all, you deserve a lot of flowers for. But here we are. Now we are in the Diddy situation. And let me just say, like, oh my God. The thing about Diddy, I think that makes R. Kelly different is, well, first of all, the number of victims. Okay. And you also have to talk about like the international piece to this, because I don't know if you know about this, but just recently, the UK is also probing into an investigation, right?
Yep.
So in the Don Richard lawsuit, Danity Kane, Dirty Diddy Money, and I literally just read this. It's like page 22, 21, line number 92. It said something to the effect of that they were in the UK and that Diddy, the assistant was there, Diddy's assistant, and they ran a train on the lady.
Yeah.
And that Diddy took her, you know, documents to travel back, and they basically left her stranded. In my mind, I'm thinking this man has victims all over. Over.
I mean, to take somebody's passport so that they can't get back to the UK after you use them as how in whatever catastrophic ways you want to do so is completely bizarre. And I'm glad that they're taking it out to the UK. Like they want to get as much as possible on him. Like, it's not going to stop. It's not gonna stop, in my
Absolutely.
opinion, and especially with as vocal as Stevie is being,
Mhm.
I'm really hoping he gets himself caught up because he's being a little bit too verbose to have been so involved. And I mean,
Yep.
I can say allegedly just for the hell of protecting myself and insurance. Sure, allegedly he was so involved, but let's be honest, the behavior I've seen from Diddy, from Stevie while he's around Diddy, the behavior I've seen from Diddy on Love and sorry, that I've seen from Stevie on Love and Hip Hop, that man is into everything. He in the girl butt, boy butt, bumps, go. He into all of it. He likes it all, and you
Oh
can't
my
tell me he
god.
wasn't participating and that he ain't never been a part of a freak off. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I would bet my whole bank account on that right now, no questions asked.
He this is it's funny you say that. So speaking of CBJ, so in the Tubi TMZ downfall doc, he basically said that the day that the raids happened, he was at Diddy's house. This man allegedly stays living like where Diddy's at. And then I was even digging a little bit deeper, and I completely forgot about this because I was a fan of Love and Hip Hop, and I was watching the shows, and I remember there was this one time where Stevie J got arrested for like back child support or some stuff like that. And
Mhm.
who bailed him out if it wasn't Mona Scott and Diddy and that whole situation? So he owes a lot to Diddy to a certain degree, right? His career, his everything. So
Yep.
none of this surprised me.
Even outside of the child support, Diddy is the type of person where I put you on in 1991. It's 2025. You need to pay up. I want some ass. Like damn, like that was 33 years ago. Like what? Like Diddy is that type of person where he's gonna keep holding whatever he did for you over his head, or you're gonna constantly feel indebted to him if you feel like your career has hit this stagnant point and you want some advice or you want some of his connections or you want some of whatever. I could imagine he's like, okay, I can do that. I'll reach. Let's just say before Stevie got on Love and Hip Hop, Stevie's career wasn't about shit. His career still ain't about shit, if we being honest. So imagine Stevie is stuck, can't stop, won't stop, all of the stuff that he used to do with Diddy had kind of like dried up. Imagine if he wanted something to get put on and he called Diddy like, yo, can you reach out to Mona to try to like maybe, I don't know, position me to be on Love and Hip Hop? Yeah, I can do that for you. What you gonna do for me?
Exactly. I
Diddy
mean,
ain't
all of those artists between the Peter Guns, who else? Rich Dollars, who else? Um,
Cisco.
Cisco Kalina. Kalina was in Love and Hip Hop. Her
Hmm.
husband Tony Vick was in Love and Hip Hop too. Yeah, they were all there. So I don't find it to be a surprise that people are on people's payrolls. And this is what I think it was you that I was talking to. I said, we really need to start looking into Love and Hip Hop a little bit more to figure out like what ties, who paid for what, and how people got on there.
Yeah. And then I feel like we also need to think about who most of the people who Diddy have come across, they have all literally left his ass alone. They didn't like how he was treating them in whatever capacity, whether it had been actual abuse, whether it had been him screwing them out of their money or their publishing rights, just being disrespectful in general. Stevie has been the only one that has stayed around. So it seems like he likes whatever he has to do to stay in Diddy's orbit. You can't just stay in Diddy's orbit for quote unquote free. Not that you gotta pay him money, but you gotta pay him something. You gotta pay him a freak off. Stevie been around this man for a long time, and it seemed like he like it. So
Yep, I
now, whether
agree.
he actually likes it, whether he maybe fell in love with it after a couple times, or whether he just feels like, well, every time I need a stepping stone, I got to pay the piper, which means you got to take the piper. Look, I don't know, but I think it's very weird because who else can we name that's been Mary? Don't be around Diddy like that. Kim,
No, she made a statement too, by the way. She didn't put a name on it, but she did basically say something to the effect, it was on her IG page, like, who I used to be with before is not who I am with today. Subliminally, you knew she was talking about
yeah,
Diddy.
yeah, and even Kim being as you know, a little, she's very ditzy nowadays, in my opinion. She's with this 24-year-old boy, whatever. Even she don't be all around Diddy and da da. Now, if they need to perform for the Super Bowl, because remember, I think didn't they do some Super Bowl stuff? It was Eminem, 50 Cent.
Yep. Snoop.
Was yeah. So
Dre.
if they need to do something big and share a stage, they'll do that just for the sake of boom. But they not just chilling with the man, just hanging out. So with Stevie being the main one that's been his ride or die from the 90s to now, and we really can't name nobody else. How is it that the whole the band don't like you? How is it that the whole Dirty Money don't like you? How is it that the whole Danity Kane don't like you? You know, Mary J. Blige, we can see she ain't, you know, Foxy. No, nobody. Like everybody feels like
That's
you're
right.
Mace feels like you're a monster. Cameron feels like you're a monster. Dame Dash feels like you're a monster. Jay-Z went his separate way with you a while ago. Everybody's went their separate ways because they see that you're a little deviant, but it seemed like Stevie, he's enjoying. So
He's with the shits. That's why he's with.
absolutely. Anybody else that's enjoying it, they have enough sense to enjoy it behind closed doors, but not be seen in publicly with him. So I just feel like that's a bit of a common sense for whatever deviant freaks he's working. It's not an excuse. It doesn't make it right. But they got common sense. It seemed like Stevie's nose is wide open. And I'm sorry, Stevie is really coming off looking like his boyfriend, in my opinion. One of his many boyfriends, a consensual boyfriend. But it's given he like it. Like, not only is he in on it, he like it. And you can't convince me that he didn't turn Jocelyn out. Jocelyn wasn't the coke bear that she is now before she got with him. Faith Evans, also, there was a video that kind of reminded me of the Cassie video when he went live and Faith Evans was hiding under a blanket and he was like, yeah, come out for the blanket, show the people who you are. And apparently he had done something to make her feel so ashamed that she didn't want to come out that blanket. I don't know if he physically hit her. I don't know if he fed her some drugs that weren't good and she felt like she was in bad shape. She didn't want to be on live, but it was giving that same aggressive Diddy energy. Like, yeah, I got you in a corner and come on live. I got you on live. I'm about to show. Like, it's nasty energy. And not to mention, he took her to court and then he got alimony off of her. I believe he got the car. So he seems to be a broke leech, whereas Diddy more so uses his power to control people. But Stevie doesn't really have the talent, the pull, and whatever, to the point where he got to be a leech to manipulate his women, albeit Jocelyn and Faith. And Faith has had a couple of performances where she just wasn't herself. And for me, looking at Jocelyn acting the way that she's acted through me watching Love and Hip Hop and me seeing Faith the way that she acts, I'm like, the commonality is Stevie, and neither one of these ladies are in their right minds. They were not. Now, listen, I'm not saying that neither Jocelyn nor Stevie did coke before they got with Stevie. I'm not saying that because I feel like most celebrities do a bump or two, but most of them have it under control. But when Stevie got with them, they turned into coke demons.
Yeah, they definitely engage more in that activity. That's for sure. That's for sure. Do you think, speaking, since we're on that topic, but I'm wondering, do you foresee more indictments coming through as it relates to what Diddy's going through? Because I think I'll speak for myself. For me, it's like you got, 3,000 people, according to the lawyer, 3,000 people, 3,200 people called in giving tips. All right. I'm thinking in my mind now, I don't know if the 120 are people that they've decided these are substantial people with receipts, videotapes, DMs, whatever it may be, right? Mm-hmm. We have 60 that are men, 60 that are women, and then 25 of them minors, right? Let me tell you something that stood out to me, and I was reviewing this earlier, and I said, you guys got to slow this press conference down. When it comes to true crime, pay attention to what they don't say in a press conference, and that'll tell you everything. He said that there were 50, what was the percentage? We did the percentages. 55% out of the 120 were reports that, like, actual police and medical reports that were able to be substantiated from the 120. So you mean to tell me that there are hospital and police reports out of the 120? You can go back to it. I think it's I can't remember what timestamp it's at, but when he starts breaking down the numbers, he talks about how there are 55% of the people that they are working with have made a police report or went to the hospital. So that would be anywhere from 66 to 70 police reports and hospital reports. And you mean to tell me that this man was never charged with anything? And the people that aided him were never charged with anything? See, that tells you how deep this enterprise works. Who was paid off? Who was just ignored or threatened? And this goes into, I think, in government as well, for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately it does. I hope that they get some leeway with taking legal action against the departments who swept the initial reports to the side. I really hope that they're able to get some. I know that can be really challenging, like trying to take on an entire police department, or maybe just like 3 officers or 5 detectives or whatever. That can be hard because the police officers got protection and connects, just like Diddy got protection and connects. But the thing is, the police officers don't really have to pay for their connects. They just have the code of blue that might turn into a code of silence, that might turn into a code of lying and saying, well, this never happened, or she was inconsistent, or whatever the case is. But the bottom line, and especially after listening to this press conference today, there is a lack of resources of really understanding how to deal with victims of rape. And that leads to continued neglect, continued mistreatment, continued SA. And when are you ever stopping the monster? And how do I know when I come forward and tell you that a monster attacked me or and did that to me? What protection do I have? What action are you going to take? Are you just going to detain? Are you going to detain them at all? But are you going to detain them and leave them there for a while? Damn, like, is you at least going to place me at witness protection or place me somewhere else until a trial? If you continue to investigate, it just seems like if you walk into a station and say, hey, this happened to me, they're like, are you sure? What were you wearing? What were you wearing?
Exactly.
What did you say? Did you have a drink? And it's just like, I don't give a damn if the girl had a Molly. And listen, I've never done, I don't know what, listen, I smoke and I drink. I call it whiskey and I smoke, I drink. That is it. I don't even know what's, but even if so, don't think that just because somebody had a drink or a little, some people do, I don't know. Don't think that just because they indulged in a little something that night that they can't still advocate for themselves and say, this person took advantage of me. They held me down. It had
Well,
nothing
that's not even the point. The point is that you're there to get medical help. You're there to talk to law enforcement. It's not their job. Exactly. It's just write the report and submit the report and do what you have to do. But they also have drug testing that apparently some of these victims, they notice a pattern that they had been drugged by a certain drug. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, we have well, first of all, I'm sure that that's not new to anybody. We know we have a big problem in our judicial system, but the fact that this person did not work alone and there are too many people involved here, and he should not be the only one to go down, if that makes sense. There should be others.
Absolutely. I'm waiting. I'm very surprised because in R. Kelly's initial indictment, there were other people named. There were security guards and bodyguards and da da da. And even if all of them didn't get charged, some of them might have got detained. Some of them got 6 months. Some of them got 3 years. But there were other people named all up and through there, to the point where the reason why it took me so long to come live and to sometimes report these things is because I had to remember all these characters. You remember the octopus photo?
Yes.
But it was more than the octopus because it was far more than 8 characters. And I had to remember each character's role of there was so many different people. So it's just interesting that this is a RICO charge, and I'm really hoping the prosecution tightens up a little bit on this front, because if you're calling this a RICO and a criminal enterprise, you really need to start naming some of the enablers. You do. There's no such thing as a RICO with just one person. And only one person being named in an indictment. There's no such thing. I do believe that this categorizes as a RICO, but where the hell are the other names at? Where?
Yeah.
So, and when are we going to get down to that? So, that is a little strange to me. And and especially because I like to find out earlier before the trial even starts, who are the characters? How can I study the characters? What's in the characters' past? They bringing his bodyguard into it. Did he have a person specifically hired to lube people down? Like, you come in there and hold your arms out and they lube you down, and was it something in the baby oil and it's seeping in like that?
Yep.
This man didn't do all this stuff by he wasn't setting up the lighting and the ring lights and the cameras and all. He wasn't doing all that stuff by himself. Where are the other names so we can follow this and so that we're not lost, or I'm not lost when the trial starts and they just start naming quote unquote enablers, whether you want to call them celebrity Stevie or just regular enablers, whoever the hell was on his staff. And maybe he's just not talking yet. And maybe that's why we don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That part is a little puzzling to me. But this whole thing is puzzling because we are bombarded with 8 Diddy articles a day.
Oh yes.
And
It's just you got to keep up with it because the thing is like it's every day it's something new. But that's what I'm saying. There's no way that this man just worked alone. Like, he should not be the only one going down for that. Even the people, there are a lot of people that are mentioned in these civil lawsuits, right? We hear all kinds of names. It's like, well, where are those people at? How come they're not sitting right next door, behind the bars as well? Like, I don't get it. And maybe they just don't have enough quite yet, or maybe they're still investigating. Like, the district attorney said that there was a lot more going into this and they're looking into every side. So, but I do want to say this, Jane, we definitely got to schedule something so we can go live and talk about it, because I feel like we could definitely get into something.
Yeah, because I just have I'm pretty sure when I lay down tonight, I'm gonna lay down, I'm gonna close my eyes, have my little medication, and I'll close my eyes and I'll be like, oh my gosh, why haven't it just be on your mind. So I'm like, I know there's gonna be more stuff that comes to my mind because I obsess over some of the cases that I cover just so I can be good and consistent and thorough at. And I'm not sure how you do it because you are so high functioning. You are so high functioning. But wait, Vicky said, do you still have a picture of the octopus? You know what? Actually, I think I do still have a photo of the octopus, believe it or not.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, we should definitely schedule something because it's a lot going on.
Yes.
It's a lot going on, and it's far too much. 8 Diddy articles coming out a day. Ain't nobody going live 8 times a day. I might do twice. You know what I'm saying?
It's a lot. It's a lot to consume, I think, and then to also explain and break it down, and get as much information as you can out there. But every day is something new, because I guess every day there's something, either somebody else is coming up, there's a new lawsuit, or the people are coming out saying different things. You just never know.
An overage of evidence. I really don't foresee him getting out for this 3rd bail appeal attempt, and I don't see him getting off, even though he's got some very good attorneys. The 2 that he's added on, they are very good attorneys, so it might make for an interesting trial for sure. That might have folks on the edge of their seat if they're making good arguments or poking through whatever. But I am not convinced that he's going to get off. I think if he doesn't get life, he's at least going to get 15. And those are the only 2 options, 15 or life. There's no in between. So
if there is a trial, like I said, I feel like there are way too many people. There's too much at stake. And that's why I hate to get into a conspiracy theory, but this is the one time it wouldn't surprise me if they tried to end him, if you know what I mean. Because he's got way too much on people, and then there are tapes, and there's a reason why people are silent right now. I truly believe that there are tapes of these individuals, because he would videotape everything in his house, and these freak offs. We don't know. Did we ever think we were going to see a Cassie video after the lawsuit? I never thought we would. This video it surprises all. This is why this has been like
it is shock. That if it wasn't for that video, we probably wouldn't even be here right now. If it was not for that video, we would not even be here right now. And praise God to whoever that employee was that handed him over that tape, but had a copy for $50,000. I want to buy him a drink. As a matter of fact, I want to buy him 8 drinks. I mean, because praise God that Diddy thought, give me that tape, I'll give you 50K. Okay, give me 50K. Here's the tape. But they had a copy.
Yep.
But they had
Yep.
a copy. I'm so grateful for them, because if it wasn't for that, the floodgates wouldn't be open right now.
No.
They really wouldn't.
Crazy. Jane, I'm gonna let you go because I gotta run and tend to this baby bunny. But
I was about to say, I hear the baby. Let me let you go.
Thank you so much. But definitely let's schedule something so we could maybe do something together. And I would love to break whatever we need to break down. I think this is gonna be, a good conversation for all of us to have. And shout out to your audience and shout out to you. Thank you again for letting me out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming. I'm gonna put your link in the chat. Have a good night, girl.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Y'all make sure y'all follow Down the Rabbit Hole News. It's spelled just like that, all one word. No spaces. Even if you put the spaces in, you'll still be able to find her. So let me hit press play on this conference so we can keep watching from where we left off at. And then I'm going to search for this octopus because I know I still have it here in my files from the R. Kelly trial. Okay. And has everyone hit the like button? We're at 310. Do we have at least 150? And if we got at least 150, we need to get a little. Okay, so we got 235. Can we show the video a little bit of love? Okay, this takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of work. If listen, if at the very least, okay, if at the very least y'all are not, and see, I'll come back a little later tonight if if energy allows. If energy allows, and if I really feel like y'all want me to come back, I will, just to kind of kick in and talk about anything that's not Diddy. When I do a long dedicated video like this, I be wanting to talk about other stuff, and then I get really worn out with the subject. So I'll be ready to talk about Diddy again tomorrow, but after we finish this, baby, let's talk about other shit. Let's talk about other things. So let's go ahead and see, if at the very least you are not going to be able to send a little a donation over to the Cash App, that is completely fine. Okay, it is completely fine if you don't, and that is okay. Just hit like on the video and comment as often as you have a thought or as you see fit in the chat. It really does help. And even if you're chasing the bus, which means you're watching the replay and you weren't here live, comment a few times down in the comments, not just once. Okay. And you can still send a donation to the bus, even if you are watching the replay. You don't have to be on the live. Okay. But it is not a requirement though. But this is where you can find me on Cash App. Okay. Okay. Let's get back into the press conference. All right.
Make these types of allegations when something very terrible has happened to them. 91 all the way till this year, 2024. If you wonder why there are so many alleged victims, that's your answer. We're talking about more than 25 years of this type of conduct. Now, although most of the victims who have stepped forward were victimized after 2015, this has been going on for a very long time. Now, when you think about the fact that some of this conduct occurred 25 years ago, and you wonder why would it take somebody so long to step forward, I want to remind you that many states in the United States have recognized that it's very difficult for a victim to step forward and to make these types of allegations when something very terrible has happened to them. I'll use New York, the state of New York, as an example. The state of New York has specific statutes in place that revive claims that are even claims that would typically be not able to be brought, that revive such claims, and they can be brought even 25 to 30 years later. Because there's a recognition there in New York and California and other states that it's very difficult for a victim to come forward. And I would respectfully suggest the only reason many of these people are coming forward because they see other victims coming forward. And it gives them some comfort that, hey, I won't be the only one. And I expect more victims will come forward. There's an old saying that says, a lie has great speed, but truth has endurance. The acts complained of in these cases that we're going to file occurred primarily in New York, either Manhattan or the Hamptons, or occurred in California, primarily in Los Angeles, or in Florida, primarily in Miami. Most of these events and incidents occurred at parties, typically after parties, or album release parties, New Year's Eve parties, 4th of July parties, something they call a puppy party, the all-white party, although several of these events occurred at auditions. Many times, especially young people wanting to break into the industry, were coerced into this type of conduct in the promise of being made a star, or in the promise of having Sean Combs listen to their tape, or even let them read for Sean Combs. You should know that some of this behavior occurred at well-known venues in New York City. Some of this behavior occurred at private residences of people that we all know. Some of this behavior occurred at hotels that we're all familiar with. You should know that more than 55% of the victims filed reported this conduct to either the authorities, that is the police, or to hospitals. We're in the process of collecting with our team assistants medical records, reports that were made to the authorities, and I've already said that some of the individuals in this group did in fact talk to the FBI. You should know that several of the individuals, and when I say several, I mean many, who did in fact seek medical treatment were drug tested, and drugs were found in their system, weird drugs that you probably never heard of. One in particular that continues to pop up is a drug called xylazine, or trank, which based on our research is known as a horse tranquilizer. Now, there's been a lot of reports that we're filing a class action. This is not a class action. Class action is when one or two people file a case on behalf of a group of people. That's not this. These cases will be individual cases. Each case will live and die on its own merit. These cases will be filed individually, one plaintiff against whoever the defendants were involved in the case. Each case may be filed in one venue like California, another case may be filed in New York. One case may sue just Sean Combs, but multiple other people. One case may sue a range of people. I would expect most, though, to be filed, as I said, in New York and Los Angeles. Now, I know this. Many of you came here thinking or hoping, or perhaps believing, that I may start naming names. Well, that day will come, but it won't be today. The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names.
Okay, well, when's the day so we can be there? Because, baby, what's it? Yes. No, I'm doing the video. Yo, the cat is sick, and he's being very spoiled and very attention needy right now. What's the day? Leo. I know you don't feel good. It's going to be time for your father to give you your medicine soon, actually. But you can't be bumping up against... You can't. Okay, Leo. Say hi to the people. Say hi to the people. You're going to get one. Okay, you're hitting the buttons, and it might end up... Leo. Lord have mercy. I know, but you are really being a little destructive right now. And I'm letting you destroy my life because you're spoiled and I don't want to hurt your feelings. Here, one treat. Okay. Now, you know what time it is? It's time for you to get down. Get down. Come on. Come on. Move your butt. Move your butt. Come on. Get down. Yes. Time to get down. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. All the way down. Thank you. Oh, Lord have mercy. Ask me how much I spent at the vet the other day to get this little nigga out of pain because he had a whole mouth situation going on. over $1,600. Okay, so the love is real when it comes to my co-host. All right. We'll chat about that later.
It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you. These are individual cases. There are indeed other perpetrators.
Names that'll shock us. Well, shock us now, baby. Why would you tell us you want to shock us in the future and not shock us now? Like, I want to be shocked now. Just go, sir, say it. Say Stevie J. I want to know. I already know you want to say it, but I want to hear you say it. It'll bring a certain level of satisfaction to me. Like, just say it. I mean, who else? I mean, it's a lot of pictures, but see, you know what I really hate? Here's one thing I'll say before I hit play again. I really hate how everybody who ever was in Diddy's proximity in a photo are all being accused of the nasty shit. Like, come on. When you take a photo with somebody and you don't know what they're doing in the deepest, darkest pits of hell in the back of their bedroom, you don't know that a photo is going to be incriminating or that they are that devious. You don't know that. And especially back in the day before the rumors. Okay, you get one more. Is your father watching? Can you come get him? Is you Because yeah, you're doing a little bit too much. And I just heard you banging on that door. Oh my gosh. Your father out there. Go ahead. Your father out there. You should probably get down. So go to your father. Go ahead. Is you out there? So, child, I'm trying to really get into talking about these freak offs, and this sick cat keep trying to get sympathy from me.
Involved.
And you can tell I spoil him to death. That's why he act like this. I spoil him so bad.
They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are. And I'm talking here about not just the cowardly but complicit bystanders. That is, those people that we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing.
Okay, so the people who watched and did nothing. I mean, listen, the only thing that a person that watched and did nothing, right, is a person who didn't actually physically participate, but they saw it. So with that, your bodyguard. You're not the oiler downer. And listen, for me, this sounds so systematic for Diddy that I truly believe he has somebody preparing his people to make sure their bodies were served up in the way that was to Diddy's personal perfection and liking. I believe he has somebody to bathe them and scrub them and somebody to actually put the oil on them. He's rich enough to have that. This is not like your average man ordering a lady off of or ordering a man, because Diddy is into it all. Ordering somebody off of OnlyFans and being like, yeah, come over. Like, no, with the sexual deviant like him, and especially with the number of victims that we feel like he's accumulated. If he's accumulated 1,000 bottles of baby oil, and I get a lot of people saying it's not baby oil. It is baby oil, but I personally believe it's diluted with the drug. He had 1,000 bottles. This is a system. This is a business. Do you hear me? And he needs to make sure that when he walks into that factory, things are to his liking. There is nobody with 1,000 bottles of nothing in stock right now outside of the Sephora makeup making factories. Ain't no, like, who else got it? This is a system. And when he walk in there, he want it the way he want, when he want, after a long day. He's a CEO, he's a mogul, he's managing people, he's scamming people out of their publishing and intimidating others. He's too busy all day being deviant Diddy and slippery Sean to have to come in and worry about somebody's hygiene. How Diddy might like your coochie to smell like cherry. So if you need to wash up with that cherry washed, and he don't just want you to be regular. Like, he has specific preferences, in my opinion, for you to have 1,000 bottles of this shit. So he's got handlers to help him get his sexual partners, participants, whether they're willing or consensual or not. Trust and believe he got people to get them ready to make sure when he walk in that room, he finna be satisfied without having to point out what's wrong and wait for it to be corrected himself. So when this guy is saying people who watched and did nothing, that's really giving security guard to me. So the only thing that can save a security guard in testimony like this is, I was afraid for, they got to put their safety first, even though they're concerned about their job security and their safety. But you're going to have to put it. I was so afraid of him. I heard he killed Pac or Diddy or whatever. I heard he killed Kim. I heard he killed Heavy D or blah, 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 blah. I was afraid for my life. So I just cowered and just bent over and I was shaking and I just watched. So if they, like I said, an enabler would constitute and would include, look at us, we at 135. I got to speed this up. It would include bodyguards and others. And, you know, even if the very least, when they get or extract testimony from these bodyguards, my theory is that they may, based on what they are willing or not willing to say, if they're not willing to say anything or they're defending Diddy, well, then you're not getting an immunity deal. Why would we give you an immunity deal if you want to sit in here with your chest puffed out, which is how Puffy got his name, and sit here and defend Diddy? No. We need to guarantee this immunity deal is contingent upon you testifying against him, period. So I think that things like this might transpire and take place in the courtroom. But let's listen to who else he feel that he will name that may be implicated in this situation outside of my leading assumption, Stevie J and the bodyguards.
I'm talking about the people that participated.
People that participated. So, I mean, it's kind of like if there's some threesome going on, right? How do you determine which people are in consent and which people aren't in consent? Participated how? Oiling the women down with the body oil that's mixed with the drugs that your skin absorbs to kind of get you inundated. Literally, the horse tranquilizer on a person is crazy. It's crazy. That's the shit that the crack addicts do because it's cheap. Like, are the farms selling this shit? How is Trank even getting out? I don't know.
Encouraged it, egged it on. They know who they are.
Encouraged it, egged it on. Okay.
I call them the facilitators of foul play. Willing participants in foul.
You hear that? Facilitators of foul play. You remember how I was saying earlier, his verbiage and the way in which he is delivering and speaking this. He's a better orator than Gloria. But like I said, they're still both, they're fighting a good fight. They're representing victims. But I can just tell you, excuse me, I hit the microphone, so I'm not sure if that bothered anybody with headphones on. I can just tell you off rip, the person that is actually piercing more souls and more ears and is more convincing and is just a better orator in general. In general, it's him. It's him. He's got a great verbiage and a great thing going with the way in which he is articulating this.
Conduct. As we identify them, each will be part of this case as defendants. These defendants will not only include individuals, but will also include corporate entities who ultimately profited off of this culture and behavior. I'm looking at banks, pharmaceutical companies, hotels. We know that many of these
not you suing banks and hotels. Oh, baby, this sounds like it's going to be a show, and I'm going to have to get my popcorn because as many times as I've seen a RICO with a celebrity, I've never seen a success rate. I would.
Individuals were paid cash. We know that many of these individuals involved, whether they were the ones being assaulted and abused, or they're witnessing other people being assaulted and abused, and then paid and threatened and told to leave. Typically paid 10 grand in cash and told to leave. And then threatened as they were leaving. So in addition to Sean Combs, you should know the defendants in these cases we're going to file will include anyone, of course, who engaged in the assault or exploitation, anyone who participated in such in any way, anyone who encouraged or facilitated this conduct, anyone who was in the room and watched it happen but made no effort to stop it, any venue or venue owner who was aware of what was going on but failed to stop it, any individual or entity who knew about the conduct and benefited from it but did nothing to report it or stop it, and any individual or entity who covered it up or helped cover it up. These people who know who they are.
I low-key feel like that is a bit of a dog whistle to the federal prosecution, to the witnesses on the side of the federal prosecution, and anybody who may even be considering to be a witness to the defense. They're saying anybody that participated and didn't stop it. Well, if this was this big grand orgy, right? A basic orgy is 3. I can imagine Diddy shit is more than that. So let's just say it was 5 to 7 folks. I don't know. And I might still not even be. Let's just say it was 5 to 7 folks. For the 2 or however many people who weren't able to give consent, because as soon as they got in the car, Diddy gave him some water that was laced with something, gave him a drink that was laced with something. You put the baby oil on and get some further laced with something. The horse tranquilizer came into play at one point or another. There might be 1 or 2 participants that are a part of this orgy who had no consent, but if the others gave consent, how does this trial go and what does that look like? You know, think about this with me. It's giving you either really about to die by the sword, and this person that is pursuing this civil case is saying, look, we're going to be pursuing you if you participated and you didn't stop it. Will this affect the way that people will testify on the stand in the federal case? Because it's really difficult to look innocent if you are having relations with incapacitated people or people who didn't give consent and you knew they were hella out of it and you still went on. So at this point, the only way to save yourself, if and when you get on the federal stand and you're subpoenaed or called by whatever side, prosecution, defense, whatever, you're either going to fall on that sword and say, no, this was consensual, we all consented, or you know what, F it, I was a victim too, I really ain't want to do that. Like, think about how this would play out. Like, really, are y'all understanding what I'm saying? Based on his verbiage and what might influence the testimony of whoever is testifying, no matter what side. Now, Corinne Steffens already came out, Superhead, has already came out and said that the Diddy parties, I participated, it was what it was, and da-da-da. It's like, girl, you could have shut the fuck up and kept that to your fucking self. There's too many victims out here for you to be out here talking about I willfully had sex with him. Okay, well, girl, you ain't part of the indictment, so we really didn't need your motherfucking input, but okay. But so my point is that I do feel like there might have been a few willing participants, but when you have an orgies, it's not just Diddy consenting with somebody else. There are other people involved. And were those other people in consent? Did they know they were being recorded? Did you drug them in order to coerce them or get them to do something that they weren't even aware that they were doing? these people have woken up and taken grape kits in their anus and their vagina, have rips in them, and have severe trauma that have been documented to them, and they don't even know what the hell went on. So how is this going to play out in court? I hope y'all understand what I'm saying as far as how what he is and that is part of the tactic of some of these civil press conferences is they are playing off of one another. Like that's just what's happening. The civil lawsuits and the lawyers and attorneys who are pursuing those are playing off of the federal prosecutors and what's going down in criminal court. And whether they speak directly with one another or whether they make it abundantly clear through their press conferences and the transcripts and through very specific wording and what they're saying and what they're not saying, they play off of one another. And hopefully y'all realize this. I don't see a lot of y'all really I don't see a lot of y'all really understanding this, okay? Or really engaging with this thought process right here in real time. And that's okay because the legal system is so large and honestly very difficult to understand. And they make it that way so that you can't navigate your way out of it. But this is where we are with it. So with him saying that if you participated in these freak offs, in any aspect of these freak offs, is what this man is saying, and you didn't do anything to stop it. Well, somebody was president, didn't have consent. Now I'm adding that part. We're coming after you. That's a threat coming from the civil side, which technically doesn't affect the criminal side. But if it affects your pockets, your business, your legacy, your livelihood, how you provide for your family, your kids, and you're hearing this, and the federal trial hasn't even taken place yet, you might be inclined to turn yourself from a consensual participant based on the $10,000 you got that night, or based on just doing the right thing, or based on just trying to save your ass. You might suddenly see this press conference and be like, you know what? I was going in on the defense side saying that I was participating and everything was okay. But I know I'm on tape having this orgy or this 5-way with Cassie and Diddy. And I'm not sure if she was and I'm a participant. I don't want them coming after me. So I'm going to say I was a victim too. F it, forget it. Or I'm going to say I was coerced. He gave me $10,000. I'm gonna say I was bribed. He gave me $10,000. And then I'm gonna say I was blackmailed because he got it on tape. You see what I'm saying? So this is kind of what I'm saying with this. This testimony is going to turn out to be very very strange. There's going to be so much semantics that it's not even funny. So it'll be interesting to see folks mince their words continuously. And then you're going to catch people who are just a bit ignorant to the legal process who will come straight out and say, I did it, I wasn't coerced, da, da, da. And then when they get caught up in cross-examination, it's going to be a complete and absolute disaster. So the defense really is going to have to do what they need to do in order to make sure that, because it's very easy to tell the government or to tell your attorneys one thing and to flip and to say something totally different when you get on that stand. So this, and we've seen it many a time. Hey brother, slight reference, won't name who it is, but if you know who it is, you know. But let me continue hitting play because y'all ain't really resonating with this point. I'm not really quite sure y'all are comprehending or foreseeing what I'm foreseeing. I'm foreseeing a very messy, complicated, mud-slinging, finger-pointing trial. And that's what I'm trying to explain right now. But it doesn't seem like a lot of y'all are really getting it in the chat right now. But I can see these defenses going against one another right now because of the way that I've been following both sides and what both sides are trying to declare as of right now. It's going to be a very messy mudslinging situation. But let's continue. And I still appreciate y'all being here.
To just come forward now. I would imagine, as we speak here, there are a myriad of people who are very nervous. You can't hide skeletons in the closet forever. I would expect there are many people out there right now who are desperately searching their memories as they delete their texts and data. Now, although these are in fact individual cases,
not delete their texts and data. See, that's what I'm saying. He got that terminology. Gloria would have never said that, but the young folks know exactly what they mean by that.
There is a common theme, an MO, if you will. Typically, the victim is lured into a situation where he or she is given a drink. Typically, that drink, reported by these victims, is apparently laced with something. Once that drink takes effect, the perpetrators perform all kinds of sexual acts on the victims, many times passing him or her around as other people watch and enjoy the show, and then leave the victim ashamed, confused, injured, and wondering what happened. When the victim reaches out, he or she is told not to say anything. Sometimes there are threats of physical violence or financial repercussions or bodily harm. The claims we intend to bring will include the following: violent sexual assault or rape, sexual abuse, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, false imprisonment, compelling prostitution, sexual misconduct, dissemination of video recordings, false imprisonment, sexual abuse of minors. Given the large volume of
Child, the false imprisonment, the abuse of minors, the false imprisonment. Woo, baby, it's most of us want to say it's over, but most of us also want to see the show too. So
cases, and given our other docket obligations, and given the fact that we want to be sure when we file these cases that they are fully vetted, I expect we'll start filing these cases against Sean Combs and other perpetrators within the next 30 days. Now,
this is a really good question. I wonder how many medical practitioners are involved, because typically with large cases like this, medical practitioners are involved. We saw this in the R. Kelly case. I can't remember if it was the Epstein or the Weinstein case, because both of those cases look so similar to me. It's not even funny. But sometimes those doctors end up going down who help those sex houses keep pumping and going when they need medicines, because they're passing along these STDs, and the doctors come and document some stuff and don't document other stuff, and whatever the case is. We saw R. Kelly's attorney, doctor, up on the stand trying to lie about his herpes status, and finally he just had to come out and say it. So he gave lifelong diseases to some of these girls. And although that doctor didn't end up serving any other time, there are other doctors in RICO cases and criminal organizations where they are held accountable. And the doctors do go down, because typically when you have a sex ring like this that involves more than 5 or 10 people, you have to have a doctor on deck. You might need an antibiotic. You might need whatever, even if it's the IV person. For all we know, we've all seen and heard all of this news with regards to the IVs, because they were so dehydrated, because they exerted themselves to an inhumane extent when it came to these freak offs. And so he would kind of like, that was like their parting gift. Like, okay, here's an IV. Y'all been fucking for 2.5, 3 days. Here go an IV. Rehydrate yourself. Get the fuck up out of here. So that could, kind of constitute as a doctor, because it's like, why are you giving this many IVs to this many people? As a practitioner, are you trying to assess like what's happening, why you're giving so many IVs, like why you show up to houses and have to give IVs to, 7 people a day 4 times a week, or like whatever. Like, what is the activity? Is they playing volleyball in there? Is it basketball? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? So a lot of times medical practitioners do get brought into not only the discussion but the indictment of a RICO case, sort of conversation situation, huge legal issue, or boo-boo. So that was a really good point, per AMK, and thank you for bringing that up. I have not seen any medical practitioners being brought into the fold as of yet, but I also haven't seen any, not a whole bunch of specific indicted enablers pertaining to this Diddy situation being brought up as yet either. So it seems like we're just gonna have to like watch as we go as it pertains to this case right here. Shout out to Renee Cup for sending the 199 super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you watching and being a sticky. All right, let's continue.
It's rare, sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, this type of activity is pervasive in our society, and it's rare we get a chance where we can really focus on this as a country and really focus on this about how pervasive this is and what we as collectively can do about it. So I thought I'd take this opportunity before I go into some of the individual cases and talk about some of the individual claims being made and so you'll get a sense of what this 120 people group looks like individually. I want to bring forward Carrie Paul. She's a national victim advocate who helps victims who have been victimized by this type of conduct. And she has some important words, and I hope you'll pay close attention. I think it's important that you hear from her.
Hello, I'm Carrie Paul, the National Victim Advocate. It's not easy for any survivor to come forward. Our culture doesn't believe survivors. It blames and questions them. Instead of showing support, many choose to enable abusers. The media runs stories asking why it took so long for survivors to come forward, instead of asking what barriers exist. We also don't equip law enforcement with the ability to handle sexual assault crimes. Lack of funding translates to lack of training. We have officers in the field that don't know what to say to a rape victim, and also an alarming amount of backlog untested rape kits.
I felt like that was very important what she said right here just now. A lack of funding means a lack of training, and a lot of officers don't know how to deal with these sorts of victims, and sometimes they just write them off. And it's true. It's very true. And this is a piece of the conversation that I feel a lot of people are missing. Dr. Umar being as asinine as he is, saying this is a distraction from the election. This is a conversation that needs to be had not only nationwide, but globally. The reason why Dr. Umar doesn't want to have conversations like this, and the reason why he feels like advocating for the protection of anybody who is the victim of SA or any sort of illicit sexual battery or whatever the misconduct, is because if all of his friends were indicted based on this shit, and if all of his friends were brought to justice, he wouldn't have any friends, let alone would he even be free. You feel that this conversation is insignificant because it would implicate a lot of the people who you were in community with. And that is the real fucking conversation. It is not a distraction. Bitch, do you think oh Lord, not me getting nasty. Well, I'm already nasty. You think we only need to be, the only conversation we're allowed to have from now into voting day is the motherfucking election? Because it's cute and it's cool when the conversation seems to benefit you and it's not about the election, and when you got a joke to get off and you got a little funny emote you want to do and you go viral because of another meme. Don't get me wrong. Dr. Umar is funny as hell because he's unserious as hell. And he ain't about shit. I'm sorry. No matter of fact, I'm not sorry. So not you calling shit a distraction. If anything is a distraction, it's you. Because I would prefer to laugh at your bullshit when you're not trying to distract people from your misogynistic ass talking points. I would rather listen to your donations. Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. Consciousness over coochie, power over punani. I would rather listen to your bullshit ass that than listen to you talk about politics. So if we really want to classify what a distraction is, it would be you, my brother. It would be you. This is not a distraction. How dare you act like Black folks are so narrow-minded that we can't have multiple conversations at one time. The issue of people feeling like they have the right to go up and take stuff from people's bodies that haven't given them consent is a big deal. If somebody did it to your mother, to your sister, to your aunt, to your daughter, hell, to your baby mama, would you feel that dismissive about it? Would you? Oh, this is a distraction. We need to talk about the election. What you say, baby girl? Somebody walked up and grabbed your butt. We don't care. We need to be talking about this election. Kamala tried to offer me $10,000 and I said no. Keep in mind, we got this school. It's been 20 years, but the school, nothing you saying is rooted in logic, yo. It's not rooted in logic. And you trying to distract us from a very important conversation about people not having self-control, because it's not just women. I get you're a misogynist and you feel like women are the only folks at the receiving end of Diddy's 30-year crusade of slippery deviancy, but it's not just women. There are men too who feel like and who have spoken up and out about him taking advantage of them and violating them in their bodies and abusing his power in order to manipulate their trust and using his money in order to intimidate folks and their livelihood and their families. And you sit here and say this is a distraction from the election. First of all, we all need a break from political talk. Let's just keep it a buck. Am I tripping? Am I lying? Like, keep it a buck. Nobody should be all up in politics and the only news that they watching is Kamala and Trump shit 24 hours a day. You will find yourself in a fucking vortex that you can't get out of. Sometimes you need to bring yourself up out of it with a bit of lighter entertainment news, which is celebrity bullshit. Shit that don't really affect you, but you might get a chuckle or two out of something or whatever. You know, Dame Dash spitting out his grills, Genuine falling off stage, people taking tumbles. We need that. How dare you act like we supposed to be in politics 24 hours a day when you ain't? You damn sure ain't. Because I be looking for your funny moments 2 times a day because something about you is so funny. But I think that just comes at a point where you feel like you're more smart than funny, and you're not. You're more funny than you are smart. And I don't know if that's going to hurt your feelings or what, but that's just how I feel. Some could say the same about me. Look, I'm comfortable with me. I feel like I have a sense of humor, but I have a critical thought process that I bring, but that's just my perspective. Umar, you ain't about shit. At the end of the day, I ain't been collecting money from people for over 10 years to build a school and took all they shit and people still wondering where. All I do is come on here and people click on my shit and they watch it because they want to click on it. I can't make nobody watch my shit. People click on my shit because they want to watch it. And I make honest money doing what I do here online with my online presence. So I just, we in 2 different categories. I'm not grifting. You are. So, here we are. That's that. Let's keep going. Random ass side rant. I didn't know that rant was coming. Sorry, you guys. I had no clue I was getting ready to fall into that rant, but let's keep going.
Prosecutors are focused on what they can prove in a case, and if so, how to do that at time of trial. Advocates and staff are stretched thin with growing caseloads in the criminal justice system. Most people don't know how the criminal justice works in general. There isn't enough staff or resources to adequately explain the entire process to every victim and survivor. Our culture works against victims and survivors every day, and abusers know this. Abusers work themselves into positions of power, building a public image that is trusted and financially large enough to make people look away. Abusers are unfortunately very skilled at power and control, the foundation of abuse. They seek victims who are vulnerable, such as children, their employees, and their intimate partners, all who see a different version than the public does, all who rely on the abuser in some way. And for those that do come forward and aren't believed, face questions like, are you sure it happened that way? Were you drinking? What were you wearing? All of this creates an environment that enables abusers to continue abusing them and future victims. To the survivors that have come forward despite not being believed at some point in time, your courage is like nothing we have seen before. We thank you for coming forward for yourself and all survivors. And lastly, I want all survivors that are watching this to know we believe you and we support you. Thank you.
I want you now to hear from my co-counsel, Andrew Van Arsdale. You know, we've created a sexual abuse hotline. I want him to visit with us just a few moments about how that works and the kind of volume of calls we've received.
Thank you, Tony. Like Tony said, my name is Andrew Van Arsdale. I'm the managing partner of ABA Law Group. We have offices in California, Montana, and North Carolina. To build off of what you just so well said, it's very hard to come forward. And given what we've experienced the past 10 days is really unprecedented in my career, at least. We represent thousands of survivors of abuse, and never, ever in a 10-day period have we seen over 3,000 people come forward where we've confirmed and decided to investigate and represent 120 people while we're continuing to work through another 100+ cases to prove them up, to validate what has happened here, and to hold those that are responsible accountable. And so like Tony said, we've set this up. It's 1-800-200-7474. I have a team of people standing by literally. If you know that this happened to someone and you have information about it, please contact us. If this happened to you, come forward. There's attorney-client privilege here. What you tell us is in confidence. Yes, we'll have to go out and build your case, but we will protect you. And the other thing that I want to say is the pattern and practice of this, again, is unprecedented. Over 30+ years of the same sort of events happening, people thrust into this circle reportedly, and horrible things happening to them as a result. And from talking to these people that have come forward these past 10 days, I can tell you unequivocally that because the federal government did what it needed to do and indicted this man, that they put him in jail and a judge kept him in jail, they tell me directly, this validates my feelings. For so long, I thought it was my fault. What is it about me that put myself in that scenario? What was I wearing at the time? What did I do to be subjected to such horrific treatment at these people that I was trying to trust. When we know now, it was not your fault. You were victimized by a group of powerful people that operated for 30 plus years, taking advantage of their wealth and the power that they held within the music industry. So again, thank you to every single person that has come forward and contacted our office over the past 10 days. If you or someone you know suffered the same sort of treatment, please contact us at the number behind me and we will help you. Thank you.
I think it speaks to how important this issue is in the United States and frankly internationally, that we have reputable people here that want to provide kind of information that I think victims need to hear, witnesses need to hear, the public needs to hear. Let me introduce to you now Olivia Rivers from the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault, and let her visit with you a few moments about these types of cases.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Q Olivia Rivers. I am
Black woman coming up. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, real quick. Somebody asked if I still had the R. Kelly octopus thing. And I do. I actually found it. I just want to show y'all that I keep all of my stuff. So like when I'm reporting on something, like I'm not playing. I follow it up and I don't speak on stuff unless I have a certain amount of certainty and unless I've studied it forwards and backwards, and not even just forwards and backwards. I mean forwards and backwards, diagonally, sideways. Baby, I'm going to fuck my piece of content forwards, backwards, sideways, and sideways. Unless I'm coming on with some breaking news, like let's discover the details of this together. I really am fucking my content 3 ways from Sunday before I come live to y'all. Like, I just don't. So here is the octopus. This is a literal exhibit. This is how much we think that, this trial might play out just like R. Kelly's trial, especially because the charges are nearly identical. R. Kelly's trial ended up being a bit of a shit show, a bit of a circus, to be completely honest, but nothing compared to the YSL trial and nothing compared to what this trial is going to be. And this trial honestly hasn't even gotten started yet. So that's the really interesting part about it. And not only do I have the photo of the octopus, I have the sketches of the octopus. So we've got the actual exhibit from the courtroom, and then there is what we got before we got the actual exhibits. You get the sketches from the journalists. So you can see what the journalist drew. And this is what you first have access to before you get the actual exhibit, from the court. And this is what it is. So sometimes the sketch artists, they are much better at drawing octopi, right? That is how you say octopus in plural. They are much better at drawing octopi than they are at drawing black men, I can honestly say. But yes, I still have these photos? Yep, I sure do. Just like I have all of my files. There are actually even some doodles I have from the sketch artists that were there. So before they actually drew it out with their chalk, they drew it on their legal pad like this. They put a top hat and gave the man a cane. All right. There was also stuff like this. So when I tell you, baby, I get all of the details and all of the little things. That is what I do. Okay. I'm telling y'all what's going on from the inside to the outside, from the rooter to the tutor. This is all of R. Kelly's. They needed carts and carts and carts to bring all of his information and all of the evidence that they had against him into the courthouse. Okay. And so with them having, the prosecution is already saying they got 50 witnesses that they calling in. The civil lawsuits are saying they got 120, even more than that coming in. You got 1,000 bottles of baby oil, lubricant, might have whatever in it. Who knows if they tested what's going to be in there. over 90 cell phones, the rifles with the serial numbers scraped off, the tapes. Like, can we be real here for any oil defenders that are still like defending him? Like these trials are gonna play out so similarly. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. And the thing about it is, Diddy is spending a lot more money than R. Kelly was spending on his attorneys. So that's going to be the part that I'm really interested to see what this top-notch, top flight security of the world, what this top flight best attorney of the country is about, and how you really going to be able to challenge the judge and the jury to make them not find this man guilty with all of this. I'm interested to see your tactics, but ultimately, not only do I think that you're going to lose, I hope that you lose, because I understand it's all about the money to you. But this nigga should be off the streets. I know it's your job to not even give a damn if he's guilty or not. You just want to get him to win. That's not cool, but that's your job. So I'm not about to argue with the job description of a freaking attorney. But I hope you lose. But I want to see your strategy. So let's just see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? You know? That's just what it is. But yes, I have the pictures of all of the different octopi. There were lots of different from all of the, I follow all of the different attorneys. I'm sorry, not the attorneys, the journalists and the sketch artists. I followed all of them so that I could bring y'all all of this stuff. And that's just what I do as a means of aggregating my content in order to bring you all the best of the best and the all in the all, and something that's just not ABC News and me just reading an article to you. Because no, you need to have the full context and understanding of everything. Let's finish this damn press conference.
Served my 6th year as the board chair for the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault. I'm also the CEO for the Bridge.
In the United States and frankly internationally, that we have reputable people here that want to provide kind of information that I think victims need to hear, witnesses need to hear, the public needs to hear. Let me introduce to you now Olivia Rivers from the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault, and let her visit with you a few moments about these types of cases.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Q Olivia Rivers. I am just served my 6th year as the board chair for the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault. I'm also the CEO for the Bridge Over Troubled Waters, which is a local rape crisis center here in the Houston area. So thank you for being here as we address these heinous crimes. Sexual assault is not just a crime of violence against the body. It's an assault on the very essence of human dignity and safety. It shatters lives, it destroys confidence, and all too often, it leaves survivors feeling like they are voiceless, isolated, and vulnerable. The reality for many survivors is that coming forward to report their assault is one of the most difficult and daunting tasks that they will ever have to do. And for some, it may take days, months, or even years to speak up, if they ever do. The reasons for this have been mentioned, but include the fear of being disbelieved, being blamed or judged, and of course, retaliation. The trauma of the assault itself being compounded by the trauma of the criminal justice process, where survivors must relive their experience in order to seek justice. And these feelings and fears are further exacerbated when the allegations are against prominent figures in the entertainment industry or Hollywood. Cases involving powerful figures often attract significant media attention, which can deter victims from coming forward due to fear of public exposure or scrutiny. The intense focus on these high-profile cases can make survivors feel that their personal lives are being put under a microscope, causing further emotional distress. These allegations mentioned here today, as reported, reflect deeply troubling claims that deserve thorough investigation, and no individual, regardless of their stature, is above the law or public accountability. Sadly, the statistics paint a very disturbing picture. According to the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men will experience some form of sexual violence in their lifetime. In the US alone, there are approximately 463,000 victims of rape or sexual assault every year, and these numbers barely scratch the surface, as sexual violence remains one of the most underreported crimes. But the numbers that follow tell an even more troubling story. only about 23% of sexual assaults are reported to law enforcement. Of those, just 5% lead to an arrest, and even fewer, less than 1% of reported cases ever result in a conviction, which is a devastating gap between the crime and the justice that survivors deserve. I want to briefly focus on our state here in Texas. According to the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault, 6.3 million Texans, men and women, will experience some form of violence. That's every 2 minutes someone is sexually assaulted, meaning during the course of this press conference, around 60 individuals will forever be changed by this violence. And those are just a few of the victims. Obviously, this is unacceptable. We cannot allow this cycle of silence and inaction to continue. We have to create an environment where survivors feel empowered to come forward, where they are met with empathy and respect and support, not skepticism and blame. We have to ensure that our legal system is equipped to handle these cases with the seriousness they deserve, and that survivors have access to the resources that they need beyond the legal courtroom. We have to address the root causes of this epidemic: prevention, awareness, and fostering environments where respect, consent, and safety are non-negotiable values. Additionally, support for survivors has to be holistic. They have to have access to counseling, medical services, legal advocacy, and of course, community support, regardless of whether they choose to report or not. To every survivor who has come forward, your bravery is an inspiration. To those who are still grappling with their decision, know that you are not alone and that your voice matters. Your story matters. We see you, we believe you, and we are committed to fighting for a future where sexual violence is no longer tolerated and where justice is not the exception, but the standard. Thank you.
I want to visit with you real quickly before we close here about some specific instances without disclosing the victim's name. You probably know that depending on the age of the victim, you can file these cases, these individual cases, under Jane Doe or John Doe. Each state is different in that respect. Typically, there is
So this is going to be how we are finding or able to locate. So some cases, we're not going to know who they are. We might be able to use context clues, but you know, through FOIA, right, the Freedom of Information Act, and there's some stuff that we are entitled to as the public, and other stuff that needs to be sealed in order to protect folks. So we'll see how these things are filed. And honestly, I can't lie, I have a lot of stuff really early. I have a lot of paperwork really early. I'll be wanting to come live and break the news to y'all. Sometimes I just don't have the energy. Now I'm trying to get better with that. I be having all the paperwork, all the tea, all the news, all the early as hell. If you part of members only, you know, I'll post it on the community tab. But okay.
balancing test, like the public's right to know the name of the victim and plaintiff versus the confidentiality and the safety of the plaintiff. So we'll have to struggle with that with each one of these cases. Our intention, of course, is to, like we always do, file these cases under a pseudonym until the court tells us otherwise. But let me share with you a few, just kind of give you a sense of the kind of cases and the kind of instances that people are calling and reporting that we are trying to corroborate, vet, and these are the ones that we've already corroborated, vetted, and collected evidence on.
So these are ones that he is basically verifying. And this is some of the stuff I gave y'all in the beginning of the video. I know a lot of you all came late. You weren't here 2 hours ago, 2 hours and 22 minutes ago, when I actually gave this info in the beginning. But he's about to rock your world if you weren't here to hear the intro. Some of the stuff is in the title of the video. Some of the other stuff, the title ain't long enough to put all that, but it is very disturbing to hear some of this stuff. I can't lie in saying that I hope that Justin Bieber is a part of the testimony, because I truly feel in my heart of hearts that Justin Bieber was mistreated by Diddy in some way, shape, or form, right? Even if it was just psychologically or emotionally, or I'm gonna make you a star, but even if it wasn't through an illicit physical act or essay or whatever, I truly feel that Justin Bieber suffered something at the hands of Diddy. And I really hope that I really hope primarily that he has something to do with the federal, with testifying for the prosecution. I hope that he has more to do with the federal stuff than the civil stuff. Does he deserve all his things? Yes. But I really hope that it moves the needle forward on the criminal case so that Diddy can actually be brought to justice. And so that, hey, maybe later on or simultaneously, however that's going to go, he can get his due compensation for whatever damages. Cassie got her 30 million for her damages. And if Justin Bieber has suffered some damages too, just like anybody else, they deserve their compensation as well. But it's really not all about money, because then they start thinking that I can just pay out for my wrongdoing. That's why I say primarily, I really hope that Justin Bieber is actually testifying for the prosecution. I hope that he is brave and bold enough to do so. So, yeah, it does seem like something broke his soul. And I know it's something towards a man's, pride and ego when they have to admit something like that, maybe. But yeah, but I see somebody laughing talking about, oh Lord, he did not just say they filed under pseudonyms. No, he didn't say that, because everything hasn't been filed. As a matter of fact, per his law firm, nothing has been filed yet. It's kind of like he's got several lawsuits waiting to be filed, but they need to be proofread. You need to make sure the exhibits are there, so on and so forth. So no, all of them won't be under pseudonyms, but for the people who are assessed, right? And this is why it's so important, before you laugh about certain stuff, that you really have a genuine grip and a concept and understanding. Because for the people who will be using pseudonyms, they are really afraid of their life. Diddy has threatened their lives in the past. So some people will be willing to do it without a pseudonym, knowing he's in jail. Other people feel so afraid and feel like, well, he's in jail, but the rest of his team ain't. I'm in danger. So I'm not testifying and I'm not filing this unless you file me under Jane Doe number 4. Because we already saw Jane Doe number 1 in the indictment, but we already know who. Oh, well, no, we didn't see Jane Doe. We saw victim number 1 in the indictment. But based on the way victim number 1 was described, we already know that was Cassie. So it really is. It's a case by case basis, depending on what's really happening. What's really happening? How are they handling the trauma? Do they really feel for something? And does the law firm really feel as though, because you hear a lot of these law firms. I heard this interview and I heard another one coming from a Black woman. They're I want to protect my victims, because in order for you to get people to come forward, you have to offer them some sort of protection when you're coming against a conglomerate like Diddy. So them needing protection and a select number of them needing to go under a Jane Doe, I don't think that that's funny. Those women are afraid that he's going to come back after him, or that Diddy's people are going to come back and finish the job. Some of them were going through custody disputes. Some of them were pregnant. They're thinking that they might take my kids based off of what happened with Diddy that night. And I don't even know what happened because he laced my drink. I'm going to come off as irresponsible because they're going to think I showed up and got wasted. Like, there are so many different layers involved. So I don't think that there's anything funny about some women having to utilize a pseudonym. Pseudonyms are very normal. And that's crazy because I don't remember anybody laughing at any of the pseudonyms that were used when I covered the R. Kelly trial. When I covered the R. Kelly trial, there was several pseudonyms used. Sometimes it was Jane Doe number 7, and sometimes they called her Sarah, and the sketch artist literally drew a white woman with blonde hair. And that is literally who was not on the stand. But guess what? They were required to draw the opposite of what they saw in order to protect, because I know the identities of everybody who was on R. Kelly's stand. And when they were using a pseudonym, especially a pseudonym that was not a Jane Doe number, and they used a name like Sarah or something like that for a Black woman, this was not a white woman with blonde hair, but the sketch artist was forced to draw the opposite of what they saw in order to mislead the public in order to protect the victim or the person who was testifying against Robert from the public scrutiny and the death threats, because sometimes you catch these fans who are literally willing to catch a body over a celebrity. For real. Did y'all, any of y'all see Swan? I know. I don't think you meant no harm, but I did want to clarify. I did want to clarify, Deirdre. It's okay, Deirdre. I'm not cussing you out or anything like that. I'm just saying. I don't know if any of y'all saw Swarm. Swarm. How do y'all pronounce it? I'm from Baltimore, so I say Swarm. Whatever. It's about like fanatic cult followings that take stuff too far. Sometimes it could be the Barb, sometimes it could be the Beehive. I think that the most unhinged fandom is we all know. We all know. The most unhinged following is led by the most unhinged celebrity. Let's finish this press conference.
One individual who was 22 years at the time she was assaulted said that the typical MO at one of these parties that have been widely discussed in the press was that when you were handed a drink, and now we know that the drink is laced with something, if you refused to drink it, you were kicked out of the party. Now, let that sink in for a minute. I mean, the admission to this party was that you had to drink the chosen drink that was handed to you. And now we know that in most cases, I would say 90% of the cases, these individuals were drugged with some sort of drug. That was kind of the MO. Another instance, this individual who was 9 years old at the time was taken to an audition in New York City with Bad Boy Records. Other boys were there to audition as well. All of them were trying to land a record deal. All of them were minors. This individual was sexually abused, allegedly by Sean Combs and several other people at the studio in the promise to both his parents and to him himself of getting a record deal. Another instance, another minor, told allegedly by Sean Combs that he would make him a star, but needed to visit with him in private about it, away from his parents. Once they were in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform oral sex upon him. Another incident, an individual 15 years old at the time, flown to New York City to attend a party, was drugged and then taken into a private room, allegedly in the presence of Mr. Combs, where this female individual, minor, was raped, and then other individuals took turns raping her. Another individual, 26 at the time of the occurrence, was picked up by, allegedly, by Mr. Combs and several other people in a black SUV from the airport, was given one drink in the SUV, and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain and damage to both her vagina and her anus, where she then went to the hospital. She was missing her underwear and her shoes.
Child.
Another instance, individual, this time not a minor.
I need a moment. This is too much. The children, they're missing the underwear and the shoes. I mean, I just...
Why?
This is just it's too much. He been in a way too much mess. Way too much mess. And I don't like it. I don't like it. I need a moment. I'm trying to find the bush to go weep, y'all. Why can't I? Damn, why can't I find the bush? I cannot find the bush to go weep. Ain't that something? Child, where's the bush when you need it? Ooh, my God.
Oh my God.
What's going on? Where it's at? I know I ain't delete the buzz. Y'all, I really can't find a buy.
Was attended a group dinner, allegedly with Sean Combs in Miami. She wasn't drinking because she was pregnant, but whatever she drank at the table, apparently, at least according to her, was laced with something. She blacked out, and she woke up in the same bed, again, allegedly, with Mr. Combs in his mansion in Miami. Her vagina and her anus were torn and sore. And I could go on. I mean, literally, you're sensing a theme here. It's the same theme, and it all involves some sort of drug. One instance, an individual who was 20 years old at the time was asked to attend, just saw her on the street, asked to attend a party in a hotel. She was flattered, went to the party, was given one drink and doesn't remember anything else. Ultimately, was so messed up, went to the hospital where they found cocaine and this horse tranquilizer in her blood system. I'm going to give you a quote from
So imagine going to a party, you try and get your life, you like, okay. You get there, they handing out drinks. This is why I'm like, listen, I'm the type of person, invite me to a party, cool. Unless I watch you open that bottle and pour it in, I'm the type of person, I ain't gonna hold you. I'm gonna go to the liquor store and buy me 4 miniatures and walk up in there and be sipping myself. I'm good. Yeah, I don't even want your water. I'm coming with my own water and my own Gatorade and or Pedialyte. Okay? You cannot trust this shit. And I'm serious. Like you cannot trust this stuff. There are people reporting that Diddy gave them a bottle of water and the water was laced with something. You can't trust the water, the wine, the drinks. You show up to put. Listen, it's 2024. He been doing this since 1993. You know that the methods are updated nowadays. Call it what you want. I don't mind showing up to party people, and you shouldn't have to go and show up to a party with somebody and feel like you don't trust what they got going on, because this is not about, it's really not about trust. It's about me protecting myself. And it's not that I don't trust you. It's just that I'm going to do everything that I need to do to protect myself. And I mean that. And I know that that might sound contradictory, but it's what you mean you don't trust me, but you bought your own stuff and you won't even drink nothing from my house. Listen, if you're offended because I won't take your bottle of water or take this shot that you pouring up, I'll go. But it's 2024. Like I take shots at my own pace. I take them when I want to. Matter of fact, I'm even going to tell you, I pre-gamed. I'm not ready for a shot yet. Whole time I'm going to go in the bathroom and take half of my miniature, but like I'm going to protect myself however I need to. And I'm not about to explain it and sit here and coddle your feelings while you talking about trust. You don't trust me? Bitch, I'm protecting myself. 2044. Okay. These roofies don't taste like anything anymore. I have been drugged before. I've never been essayed, but I have been drugged. And it tastes like you don't even know that it's in your drink. Okay. So luckily, when it happened to me, when I first started feeling the effects of it, I immediately started calling and texting somebody who was very close to me. I was like, whoa, can you come up here? I'm feeling crazy. I done had a glass of wine. And I'm like, and luckily they came up there, but had they not, things could have gotten really out of control. Like really out of control. Matter of fact, things did get out of control, unfortunately. But I'm so glad that before I completely blacked out, because it did lead to a blackout. But I will say that that roofie tasted like nothing. And somebody was targeting me and they wanted something from me. And I remember exactly what that man looks like. Anyway, this ain't about me, child. This is about other stuff. And you know, it don't. So whatever I gotta say to you to help you understand, and if you want to argue with me about not drinking at your party, then I'll just go. But if I show up with my own miniatures in my bag or my own weed, because another thing I don't show up and smoke other people's stuff. Like y'all done rolled it. Some people be sprinkling other stuff in there. Some people dip it in Robitussin. Some people dip it in embalming fluid. They call it water. Like how the fuck are y'all calling embalming fluid water? Bye. Like it be stuff happening out here. So it's like, yo, protect yourself by any means necessary, but don't feel like you need to coddle somebody else's feelings or somebody feeling disrespected because you brought your own supply of however you want to have fun that night and they're offended, like, dang, you don't trust me. Dang, you like I'm not about to coddle you. I might tell a white lie or two. I might not even pregame. I pregamed. Or I brought my own. Is you mad? You want me to go? Cause I'll go. Like, cause this don't even sound fun right now. You getting upset. Like, how much you had to drink today? Like, what's going on? You know? So it's like I'm not coddling your feelings over top of protecting because coddling people's feelings will lead to you taking their stuff, which may have something in it. You don't trust me? No, I trust you. Oh, because I thought you didn't trust me. And here you is taking and smoking their stuff. Like, nah. Like you really got to be somebody I'm really, really down with like that for me to show up and just smoke and drink your stuff. But for the most part, the first time I start messing with somebody or we getting close or becoming friends or whatever the case is, I'm down for a good time. And especially people who got like a whole backyard where you can have a bonfire. I love a good bonfire where we just like sit out there. But I'm not taking that community blunt that goes around to 12 different people. I'm holding my own. Y'all can pass it past me. I got my own stuff in my bag to sip on and I'm good. But if you get offended by that, I'll go. I'll go. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? I'll go. You know what I'm saying? I can trust me. And it's not that I don't trust you. It's just that I just lost 100 pounds. I'm trying to live. It's like, that's a big pun quote, but whatever.
A very young man who told us over the phone about his experience and all the things that happened to him. He says allegedly at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs and his friends in the effort to try to sign a record deal. This was kind of what he was told he would have to do. His quote is, "Had he not been in power, I feel like I could have been something great. I quit the industry because of what Sean Combs did to me." And that's really what it comes down to. We are pursuing this, asking you to support this effort, to encourage witnesses and victims to come forward and bring your evidence so we can continue to break down this wall of silence and we can continue to have these stories heard. This is the beginning of what I hope to be a national dialogue. This type of sexual assault, sexual abuse, and sexual exploitation should never happen in the United States or anywhere else. This should have never been allowed to go on for so long. This conduct has created a mass of individuals who are injured, scared, and scarred. If you are one of those individuals, we ask you to reach out. If not to us, to someone you trust. If you are someone who witnessed any of these events, we ask you to reach out. Your name can remain confidential. With that, I'll take a few questions, not many, maybe two, but if you have a question, I'll be pleased to try to answer it.
Very firm, telling us how many questions he was and was not about to take. He was far more firm. He was far more direct. I really enjoyed his diction, his word choice, his alliteration. I enjoyed the way he had a bit of an urban twist to speaking to the younger generation. And those are folks who are really gonna be tuned in day by day with the P. Diddy trial. These are going to be the people who are watching it day by day, not the 60-year-olds or whatever who recognize we ain't go. Like, yeah, you'll have our parents who recognize hearing Diddy music, but they won't be listening every day. And honestly, some of our parents are rape apologists. Let's call a thing a thing. when I ended up telling my mother that I was recognized by the New York Times for talking about R. Kelly and really breaking down in depth and in detail how much of a pervert he was, right? Let me see, put it on the screen. It's not as big as it could be, but trust me, I'm gonna get it bigger so I can show it off anytime I want to say, because it is a credential at the end of the day. Yes, I was mentioned by the New York Times because I had such immaculate coverage. The fact of the matter is, my mother was like, oh yeah, I knew he would. You let me learn every word of Trapped in the Closet, Step in the Name of Love, I Believe I Can Fly, just everything you can name. And our parents just, they didn't care. They let us sing this stuff. They let us learn. So when it comes to, that's why I'm saying with the other lady with the other press conference that was a few days ago, her age and the way in which she speaks, it really doesn't appeal to a younger audience. It would appeal to our parents. If you're in your 30s or whatever, it would appeal to our parents. But our parents really want to make excuses. Separate the music from the man, or did was them girls being fat? This guy was speaking modern freaking language. And I think that the court of public opinion does spill over into the court of law. Is it fair? Technically, no. No, it's not. Technically. However, what's also not fair is the fact that both both R. Kelly and Diddy have been brought up on charges in the past, and their money and their celebrity and their access and their connections got them off. And so now we are living in the day and age of reckoning. And so where is though whatever these connections that got you off before, y'all weren't supposed to have those connections and that money and tipping off the jury and having the judge in your pocket and the attorney making sure it was a mistrial, because y'all wasn't supposed to be able to be that slippy and slimy Slippy Sean, Mr. Baby old bad boy. Y'all was not supposed to have that sort. You weren't supposed to be able to evade the law in that way. You weren't supposed to be able to do that. And so now, is the court of public opinion supposed to spill over into the court of law? No. But in this case, will it? Absolutely. And I'm glad it does, because this is what we call karma. This is what we call karma. You abused and bent justice and made sure you were not held accountable. And you paid off cops, and you paid off people in the court system, and you abused your access and your connections to whoever else in whatever high place, and you got off. Now you're asking for fairness in the court of law. Bitch, I think the fuck not. It's time to pay for what you did then. And it's time to pay for what you did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, last year. And it's time for you to pay for what you did in January too, motherfucker. It's time. So I don't take any issue. I take no issue. And I don't mind contributing to the court of public opinion that either the jury or the judge, in amplifying and making sure that the ripple effect of people understanding, this is why I'm saying, and I continue to emphasize with you and to you all, how the civil side of it and the criminal side of it, they bounce off of one another. And I hope they keep bouncing, and I hope they get along. Because the way you bent it for your advantage before to get off, I hope it's bent in the other direction to get you to finally pay for the shit that you did. I really do. And I don't give a damn if the court of public opinion spills over into the court of law to get you to pay for what you did, because you didn't just do it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. You've got dozens of witnesses, both you and Robert. You have dozens of victims. I'm sorry. And and you have dozens of witnesses too, honestly. But you have dozens of victims. So yeah, the time has come, and it's your day of reckoning. Do not ask for fairness in 2024 when you didn't want fairness back then, when y'all had been brought up on charges in the past, and you did everything to make sure that those trials didn't play out the way that they should have. You made sure you tipped those trials in one way or another. So I don't mind if this trial is tipped in a way to get you to sit your ass down so that the world is a better place and the community doesn't have to worry about a predator like you running out here in the wild. Because that's what you are. You're a predator in the wild. In the wild, like you a predator in the United States and the UK. That's crazy. That's crazy. Somebody said check to. Okay, it's something else must be happening right now. Hold on. Something else must be going on. Okay. All right, let's listen to the last couple minutes.
How many minors are making accusations in total, and are the feds aware of the allegations of minors in the case?
I don't know what the feds are aware of, okay, but I do know it's 25 out of this 120. I will say this to that point. We welcome the FBI or any authority who wants to come to us, and we're going to make that available to these victims because I think that's important. My suspicion is, based on talking with these folks, is that the FBI is just not aware of these people. The FBI has talked to some of these folks, and I'm going to try to encourage the victims to in fact talk to the FBI because I think they have some very important things to say.
And were all of the children auditioning because they were musicians, or were any of them kids of employees or anything like that?
All seeking either TV or some sort of music career with promises of, we're going to make you a star. Instead, basically did things to them such that they don't want to have anything to do with the entertainment industry ever again. All right, guys. Thank you very much for your attention. We're going to go now. Thank you.
Thank you for yours.
Any filed here? There's a few plaintiffs here, but I don't anticipate filing them here. Probably in New York City.
Okay, so that final question wasn't quite up close to the microphone, but what they were asking was, were there any plaintiffs present at the press conference? And he basically said that, yeah, they might be present, but they won't be filing here. So that was that. I screen recorded that earlier today because I wasn't ready in time enough to watch it live with you all, but also I wanted to be able to pause and play. And if you're watching it, for me, the flyer I saw, it was that he was going to be live on Instagram. You can't pause and play an Instagram video. So that was my only working knowledge of what it was. So I felt like that was the only place to get it. I think I found out a little later it played on Fox or something. I don't know, child. I go based on where I can go and when I can go without getting too distracted and trying to look at a million different publications. But I'm going to give y'all what I need to give y'all. I do want to say rest in peace to John Amos. He was 84 years old. Y'all know he played James Evans on Good Times, and he also played in Roots, and he also played in Coming to America, and he also played in the Players Club. He played in a lot of stuff. And it's a conspiracy as to his untimely passing because apparently we found out today that he officially passed, but apparently there's also information that's saying that he actually passed on August 21st. But also there's been this huge battle and this huge dispute going on for months. So please put some doves in the chat for him, please. And shout out to Atmos. I see you in the chat. And shout out to the Tea Lounge. I haven't seen you in a while. Nice to see you. Thank you for stopping through. Throw some doves in the chat for him. Doves or prayer hands. And it's really interesting. It's not really interesting. It's actually unfortunate. You used the wrong word. That his children are just infighting this way. And I think this is the reason why the misinformation has existed. Because I heard a few months ago that his children were really over top of his sickly body, just fighting. and having disagreements about what his plans were at that point in his life, afterlife, whatever the case was. And now we've got conflicting statements coming out, and it's just a whole thing. And I just want to maintain and uphold his legacy and give y'all the information that I have. I didn't see his dead body on August or today. So all I can say is we found out today that he is passed. Some people believe he passed today. Some people believe he passed August 21st. I'm presenting you guys with all the facts. Believe what you want to believe. Just understand that there has been a huge family feud going on. And I think that this family feud is leading to the misinformation. Maybe some of the kids didn't want the information out quite yet. And I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't confirm or deny either date. So I'm not about to sit here and say it's definitely today or it was definitely August. I don't know. You know, but I can tell you both sides of the story that I'm seeing, and it doesn't look pretty, and it's unfortunate. It seems like there's dysfunction happening at this time, and he was a very great guy. I think I'll probably go into talking about him tomorrow and how I remember him and the few documentaries I've seen about him and the contributions he's made to how Black people and the Black family is presented in the media. I think that that is really important. Are we finished with Diddy? I so desperately want to talk about something else. Hold on. Yeah, we are actually done with Diddy. So I think it was really important how I think it's really important the way that John Amos represented us in the media and how hard he advocated in order to represent Black folks in um the media. I think that is very important, and I don't think it's enough people talking about it. I really don't. And I have never seen people have a whole bunch of conversations about it, but it's really important to discuss. If you don't know, John Amos was actually, I'm literally copying and pasting pictures of octopi to put in the Discord for the people who aren't here right now in my Discord. So I'm just like literally shooting from the hip right now. But no, for real, if you don't know, John Amos was so tired of Black people being represented in a way where they always looked like they were poor and struggling. And he continuously went up against the producer of Good Times to express that to him. Like, dang, why it's always gotta be some ghetto struggling shit with us? And why JJ gotta always come out here acting a fool, like just being real goofy? Like, why can't we have no pristine about ourselves? Why can't we be moving on up? Because George Jefferson and all that, whatever, came out and they were moving on up. And George Jefferson on the George Jefferson show, as a family dynamic, they weren't struggling. They even had a maid, even though the maid was Black, but they even had a maid. So there were a lot of things, and people may really minimize or not realize the impact that has on our psyche, right? But to be completely honest with you, it has the sitcoms that we watch and how we see the Black family dynamic displayed on television is no different than people talking about, oh, I'm tired of seeing the twerking up and down my timeline. It's contaminating the younger kids and the younger people. Like, if you think twerking is contaminating the younger people, then you have to understand the value that exists within showing the Black family dynamic in a way in which they aren't struggling. What does life look like when they not struggling? Like, yes, sometimes we struggle. And the thing is, the sitcom could have transcended, Good Times could have transcended between struggling to actually like working their way up, and to leave the Black family the main and kind of like the only, like at that time, Black family that was on TV for white folks to ensure that they always showed a struggling Black family and never a Black family that made it out, and never a Black family that had resources. It's kind of like y'all want to keep us stuck. We deserve more representation than that. And he understood that very early on, before we even really had the words to even discuss or talk about that. And he was adamant about that. Kind of almost as Bernie Mac was, but I just wanted to bring up John Amos because I bring him up a lot, and I think that he represents a lot of Black fathers, especially present Black fathers. Yes, very intense at times. Damn, damn, damn. Very intense at times, yes, but when you try and raise your kids and provide, I mean, that's not an excuse for aggression, but um we enjoyed the show, but hearing how he advocated for so much change, and then they just got tired of him advocating and demanding change in a different direction of the sitcom. They finally just fired him. They finally just killed him off. They sent him off to the military and was like, "Oh, he got killed in the military." He never came back because they just got tired of hearing his mouth. But his mouth was him saying Black people deserve to be represented in more than one way on television, and we should not only have representation by looking poor on a sitcom on TV. It was one of the first sitcoms on TV. So it's like, okay, what else can we do after you show us poor? How else can you show us? Like, you just leaving us as looking poor? Like, so I really appreciate and I'm thankful for that type of advocacy. And advocacy changes with every different era we have. You've got women right now who professionally advocate for, diversity and inclusion when it comes to makeup and beauty brands. I would have never even thought of that 10 years ago, but I see how necessary it is nowadays because how often do you walk into Sephora or you're buying something that says it's a universal taupe or a universal brown or a universal this, and it's not universal on your skin? It's not inclusive. So you have people advocating to push um for a change for makeup because especially in the beginning, makeup was not inclusive for us. Like, we had to mix different things with our makeup in order to get something that a lot of times you'll find a model present day who will sit down in the chair who is a fashion runway model. The white lady doing her hair has no clue what the fuck she's doing. The white lady doing her makeup has no clue what the fuck she's doing. And that's a problem. That's the problem. So advocacy changes with every era, and somehow I just got into that random sideways rant just now. But it is what it is. We've reached a 3-hour mark. The last thing that I want to bring up to y'all is Wendy Williams has spoken out. Wendy Williams has actually spoken out about this, and basically what she said is she's glad and that it's about damn time. She's literally basically says she's glad and it's about damn time that Diddy was locked up because honestly, Wendy has been telling us all along. And to be completely fair with you, Diddy was trying to get the damn he was trying to get the elders too. He was trying to get the elders too. Let me show y'all this real quick.
Y'all know y'all gonna have to turn up tonight, right? All right now. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. Y'all know how y'all was doing it back in '64.
What you talking about?
Dancing. Happy 50th. Y'all know y'all gonna have to turn up tonight, right? All right now. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. Y'all know how y'all was doing it back in '64. Dancing. Happy 50th. Y'all know y'all gonna have to turn up tonight, right? All right now. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. Y'all know how y'all was doing it back in '64. Dancing.
Y'all, what is that and why weren't the elders safe? Like, damn, even the even the vulnerable adults. He licking his lips. The diddler. Not trying to invite the gray-haired, walker-ridden, wheelchair-ridden folks to your party while you lick your lips and say they got the come and participate. Like, Diddy, what is this? You know what I'm saying? This is the that I'm talking about. Like, okay. Let me just get a second to cook, baby. We let's go to the bush.
It was gone. Let me just go in the bush and weep. Let me just go in the bush and weep. I just have to go in the bush and weep. Really. I don't understand. I swear to God, I don't understand.
Oh my gosh, somebody literally just said Diddy is that where my hug at person. Yes, he is absolutely where my hug at. It's like, damn, y'all, like, I do not want to feel obligated to hug you. But the way that you saying this, it's kind of like, I would rather just like give you a quick church hug. Quick, I'm out of here. Quick. As opposed to make it seem like, man, what's wrong with you, Dusty? You ugly? You thirsty? And then you gonna say, man, this bitch crazy. You know, like, I'm playing it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like trying to play it cool. So when you say like, where my hug at? Like, I'm like, let me give you a little sideways. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I just don't want all that extra attention. Like, I'm just trying to lay low. I go places, I don't want all that extra attention. You know what I'm saying? So if I gotta give you a little sideways church hug, then I'll give you a little sideways church hug. But I know how niggas do when they don't get their way. I know how they do. You know what I'm saying? They get like this. Diddy look easy to draw. They get like this. You come in there, they say, let me get a hug. And you say, I ain't giving you no hug, you creepy ass motherfucker. You was 69 God. Then they start looking like the man on the right, right here on the right. But you see where they drew Diddy? They get offended, and they get this offended look is a look of anger. It's anger sitting right here. And he mad because he easy to draw. It's not my fault. It ain't my fault. You know what I'm saying? Then they get mad at you. Now they causing a scene. And now they pointing at me, calling me the B word, making up some random ass allegation. And I just came here to smoke the blunt that I already rolled in my 2 shots. And that's it. I came here to dance and that's it. You know? Why you doing? I'm out. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, but that's it. If you want to catch more of my commentary on Black culture or vital and trending information, be sure to subscribe by hitting that little circle in the middle of the screen, or I'll catch you in one of these rectangles to the right in another video. I'll see you there.